is the most wonderful time of the year.
Dun, 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 dun,
I don't remember the rest well enough to go into it. But welcome to the Fic List Holiday Special.
Woohoo!
Yes!
Yay!
This is my time of year. I am at full power. No.
Ellen has fully charged,
Yeah.
and we are about to go off.
For the first 11 months of the year, I am dormant. And then December 1st hits, and I rise like the full moon.
It's a weird Pennywise thing to do. Except instead of, like, eating and murdering small children, you're like...
I'm just, like, eating a bunch of tamales and falling asleep.
Right. Which is, like, way better. Frankly, if that was Pennywise's deal, it would have been a much quicker movie.
Yeah. Oh, too true. Alright, so I think it's pretty easy to say that what we're reading today is some Christmas fic.
Yay!
But what's our AU tag, Erin?
Alright, so... It's not technically an AU, friends, but
Ooh.
we looked at our lives, we looked at our choices, and we realized that we were not going to get a whole bunch of new fics out to you guys in any semblance of time for it to make sense. So we decided to do Christmas and New Year's Eve fic in one.
All in one.
Yep. So there's no real AU, but you're going to have to live with that choice because we can't change it now.
Because we are at peace.
Yep. It also kind of makes sense to me to do them together because they often kind of go hand in hand in fic world. A lot of times they're just connected or they're coming out at the same time or all that kind of stuff. So
it's like holiday fic.
Yeah,
as opposed to like
extravaganza.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Christmas and New Year's Eve fic.
Yep.
Here we are.
Let's do it. Should we start? Well, so we have to start with Christmas.
We do, chronologically speaking.
But you know what's funny is that the Christmas fics for both of us are like ridiculously long, and then our New Year's are like, boop.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, since it sounds like we're on my pick for you, why don't we start there?
With the fic you sent me?
Yeah.
Okay. So you sent me a truly delightfully titled fanfiction called The Romantic Prawn Who Loved Christmas by Bixgirl1, Bixgirl1. It is a Harry Potter fic. A dreary fic.
Of course.
Because let's be real, that's who we are as people.
We don't fucks with anything else.
No. We occasionally venture out, but boy does Alan not.
No, I like my ship and I stay in it.
Yeah. So this fanfiction, the summary reads, when Draco, forced into sharing a room with Potter for the year, finds out that Potter has a sleepwalking problem, he expects the odd conversation and the weird game of chess. What comes as a complete shock are Potter's other activities, and why he seems so intent on having Draco join him. Relax. It's just like a holiday Hallmark movie with, sleep wanking. All right, friends.
Woo!
I started reading this at work. That was not appropriate. I had to stop.
Choices were made.
Yep. And so, word of warning, rating explicit on this one. And if you remember our previous episode about Smutty Smut, Alan overcorrected. He may not have sent me Smutty Smut for that, but boy did he this time.
Whenever you think Christmas, don't you immediately think like Smutty Smut?
Yeah. Deeply smutty. So, if you are not about real smut fanfic, this is not your jam.
Oh, no.
So to start, Chapter 1, we find that Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter are roommates.
We love our roommates fic.
I have yet to figure out why they were roommates. It's post-Battle of Hogwarts.
Yes.
So maybe they just didn't have enough rooms in the castle anymore.
Maybe.
Did they just destroy the whole concept of houses? Like, I don't know.
The magic of Christmas.
Okay, we're not asking questions. It's what's happening.
It's technically their 8th year, which means they're outside of the system, I think. So this is like a courtesy.
Yeah.
And so they're probably staying in like some extra rooms somewhere.
They're in some weird closet somewhere.
Yeah.
That's fair. So, Draco has set up 2 Christmas trees, one on either side of the room, and Harry's like, so what the fuck is up with the Christmas trees, dude? And he's like, don't ask questions. And basically, you realize that Draco is actually quite sentimental about Christmas and has a lot of family history and traditions and things about whatever. Harry takes this opportunity to sort of warn Draco that he is going off of his potion that, like, has kept him from sleepwalking up until this point. And he has a history of sleepwalking and being real weird when he does it. And he's like, so you should know about this. And Draco's like, okay, whatever, fine. And Harry's like, great, okay, bye. And just kind of, like, leaves. And then Ron and Hermione both go to Draco and they're like, so Harry told you? And Draco's like, yeah, like, he's weird, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And Ron's like, no, like, it's weirder than you think it's gonna be. Like, and Draco's like, what do you mean? Like, what's gonna happen to me here? And he was like, well, usually he plays a lot of, like, wizard chess, but he has weird rules for it. And he's very, like, chatty and gets real weird. And then you can't wake him up because he practices magic in his sleep. And if you wake him up, he'll, like, blow up the place. So Draco's like, okay, don't wake him up. Great, got it. This sounds insane, but sure. So then, to, like, really just, like, streamline this whole process, all you really need to know is that what ends up happening is that Harry Potter does sleepwalk, and he also sleep masturbates very aggressively in Draco's direction.
Correct.
It starts off that, like, Harry's just like, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be great, and he talks the whole time, and he, like, tells Draco what's happening. He's very blunt when he's, like, sleepwalking, where he's just like, but I like doing this, and Draco's like, you need to stop, this is, like, really inappropriate, and he's like, no. He's just gonna keep doing it. And it escalates and escalates and escalates. And Draco doesn't tell anybody what's going on because he's just like, well, presumably, if this had happened with Ron would have told me, maybe? Yeah. And Harry doesn't seem to know what he's doing when he's asleep.
Right.
He's just like, I don't really know what to do about this. And Harry keeps, like, getting into his bed and being like, no, this is my bed.
My bed.
And it's very, very explicit. I was like, holy shit, dude. I'm not judging. It was actually kind of great. But, like, it's very, very descriptive. Let's put it that way.
That's true.
So, while this is also happening, though, Harry sort of opens up emotionally to Draco at the same time in very, again, profound but very direct ways. And Draco has this sort of, like, moral crisis of, like, would he tell me this if he were awake? Like, there's a tag in here that I think we should talk about, which is mildly dubious consent.
Right.
This fic does have questions of consent that I think... I don't know that the author fully answers, but I think it's okay, and it's up for interpretation about how consensual this whole relationship kind of is.
Right.
Draco has a moment of being somewhat coerced into this situation, not maliciously, but he's, like, in a situation where he kind of can't, he's like, well, I can't wake him up because I would be in danger, we would be in danger. He's like, I do like Harry and have liked him for a long time, so this is fine, but, like, how consensual is that situation?
Yeah.
And Harry is asleep.
Right.
And doesn't know what he's doing. So, like, while he is the perpetrator, for lack of a better word, that's also not waking knowledgeable consent.
Exactly.
So the two of them are in a very weird place. If that's triggering for you, don't read this because that is something to consider. But I think that dynamic is interesting to sort of, like, parse through when you're reading this and see how it is handled and unfolded.
Yeah, and I think it's like the majority of this is through Draco's point of view, and like he's grappling with this quite a bit in the first, like, 2/4 of the fic.
Yeah. It is a very long 2-shot. Instead of a 1-shot, it's a 2-shot, which is cool. The other thing that I think is interesting is that over the course of time, you learn sort of the conditions of the Malfoys' continued, like, release into the world, and it sort of unfolds how post-war Death Eaters are, like, treated and what's going on with Draco's family. Draco is very, very aware that his family did bad things, and he doesn't excuse his own behavior or anybody else's. He's actively working to, like, course correct and be better. But he also has to reckon with the fact that, like, he knew his parents in a different way than other people did, and they were very kind to each other. They were a very loving pair to each other, and, like, that's the framework that he has for his family. And he learned how to, like, love somebody through that lens where it's, like, very private, but very, like, very kind and very tradition-based and very loving. So that's an interesting dynamic, too, where you sort of see, like, a lot of Draco's gestures to Harry are based in this, like, okay, this is traditionally how you would court somebody, or something like that, which is really funny. But I think it's actually a really great way of processing Draco's, like, emotions and, like, framing how he would move forward. I think it's the most, for lack of a better word, authentic version of this that I've ever read, where it's like, this is how Draco would actually move forward with this. His father is in Azkaban.
Of course.
And they can't visit him for 5 years, and that includes his mother. And his mother is not in Azkaban. No. But she is not allowed to see him for 5 years, and it's really, really hard for her. So as Draco and Harry continue to get more and more physically involved in Harry's sleep, eventually they do have a conversation while awake about being really into each other and, like, being really in love or whatever. And Draco has to tell Harry. Harry had said to him, like, don't tell me what I do when I sleepwalk. And Draco was like, you might want to know, though.
Right.
And Harry's like, nope, I really don't. And Draco was like, okay. And that, like, contributed to the, like, mildly dubious consent situation. Eventually, they do have a waking conversation about all things, because I think what happens,
Well, so there's one night where Draco has gotten so used to hearing Harry's footsteps, like, coming towards his bed when he's sleepwalking.
Yeah.
So one night, he hears the footsteps and he's like, all right, what are we talking about today?
Yeah.
And they have, there's this whole, like, conversation that happens that is very open, a la, you know, Harry sleepwalking. And then Harry goes back, I think Draco's like, okay, so do you want to play chess?
Yeah.
And he looks into Harry's eyes and he notices that his eyes are, like, actually looking at him and not, like, glazed over like usual. And he's like, no, I'm going to bed. And he goes to his own bed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, oh. That was a whole open conversation that happened with actual Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think, like, the next day, Harry asks him to go to Hogsmeade or something. And I'm like, let's go, you know, I'll treat you to dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
And they start to get closer. And pretty early on, Harry decorates his Christmas tree, the one on his side of the room, with, like, all these muggle orbs and, like, the tinsel and stuff.
And, like, shitty Christmas lights.
And fairy lights.
Yeah.
And, like, there's this one point where I think Harry is, like, in a state of undress, and Draco is just, like, looking at him, and Harry is like, you're staring. Then Draco says, oh, well, I was making sure that your fairies are okay.
Yeah.
Not fully understanding that it's electricity and it's just a name. It is the cutest thing in the world.
And Harry's like, you're full of shit, and also there's not real fairies on that tree. And it was really funny.
And then, as it gets closer to Christmas, Draco pulls out his, like, ornaments, and they're, like, all family heirlooms. There's, like, ornaments that have magic inside them. They're, like, spells that his family have developed. And that's a way to preserve it. It's, like, so funny. It's like, this one is supposed to make you tell the truth. Side effects, you might get a face full of boils.
Yeah.
It's just, like, all really failed attempts.
Yeah, they're, like, they contain the spell, and, like, you can kind of get little, like, wisps of it, but they don't actually make you do the full-on thing that, like, you're supposed to do or whatever. It's very interesting. Yeah, so jumping off of that, like, in the second chapter of this, Draco and Harry are, like, consciously operating in some kind of, like, relationship-y kind of situation until about halfway through, and then I think Hermione and Ron are like, yeah, you guys are dating, like, that's a thing that's happening, and then Draco's like, are we dating? What the fuck? And he goes to Harry and he's like, are we dating? And Harry's like, yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been taking you out to dinner and shit. Like, what is it? And Draco's like, I did not know. Once again, not aware. I was like, y'all need to, like, have words.
Yeah. Communication is important, friends.
Yeah. So they actually decide to, like, be dating, and it's a thing. And yeah, so the second chapter is mostly them actually being conscious and dating each other, and then trying to figure out what to get each other for Christmas.
Oh, well, the best way, so the way that Draco finally tells Harry everything that happened while he was sleepwalking, he brings out his pensieve next to his pen, and he's lined up his memories along the base, and he's decorating his tree, and Harry walks in and is like, oh, you're decorating the tree without me.
Yeah.
And Draco's like, you've got some exploring to do.
Yeah, you got some reading that you gotta get done, so holler when you're done.
Which is honestly the best way to tell someone everything, because you're like, I'm not lying to you.
Yeah.
Here's what happened.
Here's exactly what happened as I saw it. And it actually, like, goes pretty well. Like, they do have to, like, have a slight conversation about it, and Harry does recognize, he's like, I told you not to tell me this, and, like, this is kind of, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they have that moment of recognition, and I think without that, I would have had a harder time accepting their relationship. From there, their relationship does take off pretty fast.
Yeah.
Which is, like, very fanficky.
It's fanfic,
yeah. But, like, I think that moment helps course correct a little bit of the lack of communication on their side, because now, like, everything is out in the open. There is no secret. There's a lot of clarity. It also gives Harry some ideas about things that they could do physically in bed to each other again. So, you know, that's fun.
Yep.
I cannot underemphasize how smutty this is to you, friends.
I am so sorry.
Don't apologize. It's really great, but
I didn't even really notice. I read so much smutty fic that I was like, this is great.
So where was this last episode, Alon?
You know, I do not make the rules. If there had been more smutty fic that was good for the one I was looking for, I would have had more smutty fic.
So you mean for the open smut tag? You couldn't find some smut?
I couldn't find it chapter 1 or 2 smut.
I mean, I didn't make you pick it chapter 2 smut.
I wanted to talk about it.
Alright, fine. Anyway, this is real smutty, guys.
Yes.
I mean, it's great.
Thinking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess there is a lot of smut.
No. And here's the thing. This was also like a reasonable amount of smut in my life. This was not like more smut than I've read.
Right, yeah.
It just was like, oh, okay.
I guess that's why it didn't like strike me as odd, because I was like, you're making cookies, right? You're making Christmas cookies, and then you sprinkle some sugar, and the smut is the sugar, and you're just like,
and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, that's great.
I wasn't mad about it. I just was like, I can't read this at my desk, is the thing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, towards the end, they finally, like, exchange Christmas gifts, and Alan cried.
That is the best part.
It's very cute. So, Draco gets actual, like, stuff for Harry, like, physical items, a lot of it, but they're both very thoughtful with each other on these Christmas gifts. The one that I remember is Draco making, basically, a starter set of magical ornaments for Harry.
Yeah, it's like ancient family heirlooms for him to put on his tree.
Yeah, and he, like, went and talked to other people, like McGonagall and stuff like that, and got memories from his parents, like memories of his parents'
wedding.
Yeah, to include as part of it, which is like really profoundly kind and sweet and like.
And can we talk about what Harry's reaction to that is? He's holding it and he's silent and for a moment, and then he tells Draco, "I'm not in love with you." And Draco's like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine. I didn't think you would be. That's cool." But Harry's like, "But I think I will be pretty soon." And I was like,
Yeah, it was just really fun. And then the ones that I remember from Harry is that Harry actually didn't really put much in, like, a box. Like, a lot of his gifts were not actual physical things.
He kept telling Draco his gifts before Draco unwrapped them. Draco's like, wait!
You stop it! Stop spoiling my Christmas gifts! Yeah, he got visitation rights for his mother to go visit his dad in Azkaban. He was like, you still can't go, unfortunately. Like, I couldn't do everything, but your mom can go. Which meant so much to Draco, because that was really hard for him to live with. They got each other really thoughtful gifts. And then they were just like, oh my god, we love each other. And then they slept with each other really aggressively. Because that was also part of Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that was a real brief overview of this. But do read this if you are looking for smutty smut. Or you just really like Drarry, where they have to, like, really work some shit out. Because I think that is one of the salient points of this, is that they do have to work out their history in a pretty clear way. They don't, like, go crazy into it. But they do have to work through that. And I think Drarry works best when they do recognize that they have a history and they work through it somehow. So this fic was really fun. I wouldn't necessarily... It is a Christmas fic, but it's not like Hallmark. Like, the summary's like, it's like a Hallmark movie. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like a Hallmark porn.
If Hallmark did porn.
Yeah, then I would buy it. I would give this like a 3.8.
Okay, that's great.
I think it was a little gratuitous at times. Sometimes.
Excuse me.
But I also recognize that, like, to each their own.
Really? The reason this won out over, like, the other three that were on my, like, maybe pile was because of, like, the gift giving scene. Like, at the
yeah. That is a really good
like,
gift giving
the
scene.
thoughtful, like, how thoughtful they were. Like, I'm all about the thoughtful gift, you know? Like, where you listen to what someone says or wants.
Oh, I'm with you.
And then you're like,
yeah. No, I think that's true. There are definitely moments in this fic that are really outstanding, and that's one of them. So, yay! Hip hip hooray. Let's talk about the Christmas fic I sent you.
Sure.
What fandom is it, Alan?
Does anyone want to venture a guess?
I guarantee you'll guess right.
I don't know why. I every time I look at it, like whenever I look on our Excel doc and I see the magicians, there's still always a part of me that's like, oh. Yeah.
Here we are again.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Okay, there's a thing that's happening in the Magicians fandom called the Magicians Hallmark Holiday Extravaganza, the MHHE, and it's basically this onslaught of Magicians Quelliot holiday fanfic.
You're living your best life.
I cried. I was like, I have a plethora of options to choose.
So this particular holiday fic is called Hold Me Like a, parentheses liar, Lover Does, by Doom Kitty 25 and High King Marriott.
Marriott, I think.
Marriott. Ooh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because it's actually like a mashup of Margot and Elliot. Which is why I think it's Marriott, but I don't know.
Sure, High King Marriott.
Yeah.
Summary. Quentin wants to get his best friend off his back about dating again after his divorce. Elliot needs to convince his boss that he's a family man in order to get the promotion that he's been working for. What better way to get what they want than to fake a relationship during the holidays? Rule number 1, no catching feelings. What could possibly go wrong? Inspired by the movie The Mistletoe Promise for the Magician's Hallmark Holiday Extravaganza. Honestly, the only gripe with this summary would be I would have switched the Quentin and Elliot order. Because I feel like the part of this, like Elliot's part of the promise is a lot more relevant, or it's like bigger than Quentin trying to get his best friend off his back.
Elliot has much higher stakes
in
the game than Quentin does. Quentin mostly does this to just kind of
because a pretty boy asked him to.
Right. And he's like, yeah, it would be nice to not be bothered about being in a relationship for a while.
It's like a perk, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not crazy. Elliot was like, I need help.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would agree with that.
Have you seen The Mistletoe Promise?
Nope.
Listeners, write in. Tell us how it compares to how this fic compares to The Mistletoe Promise.
Have you seen it?
No, I'm very curious, but I know it's going to be straight, and I'm not interested.
You're like, this is entirely too hetero for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it is Hallmark. Side eye. So.
Okay. So this magician's fic. Okay. Where to start?
Did I break you again?
So I procrastinated again in classic Alan fashion.
Alan.
I literally sent you my New Year's Eve fic yesterday.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Sorry. It was also not very long. You probably knocked it out in an hour.
I did.
Fuck you.
While I was running laundry.
And, I wasn't too worried, because I remember you saying, oh, I went with, simple, fluffy stuff, and I'm like, oh, great, so it's gonna be, under 10,000 words. And the New Year's one is. Yeah. Then I looked at this one, 80,000 words, and I banged my head against my work desk. I was like, no! Already looking like I could see my future staying up till 2 a.m. finishing this fic.
So sorry.
No, don't be. That's my own fault, but...
It's a fast read, though, I think.
It was surprisingly, because, sometimes when they're, this long and they're, multi-chap, I'm having fun, but the whole time I'm looking at, the sidebar, and I'm like, oh, that has not moved. That's moved, a millimeter.
The sidebar is real.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's,
I'm glad I'm not the only person who does that, because I absolutely do that, where I look at it and I'm like, how small is the sidebar?
Yup.
And how fast is it moving?
It's almost like a claustrophobic feeling. You're like, I'm never leaving. Yeah. I live here now.
You're like, oh god, I'm only halfway through this.
Yep. But the way that these authors write, it speeds through. You're enjoying it. It is a fucking Hallmark movie of a fic.
In, keeping with the rest of my holiday choices, I was like, I'm going to find the most holiday of holiday choices I can find for Alan.
I'm going to start off by saying I had the best time.
Good.
It was great. It was watching a rom-com.
Yep.
In, fic form with, queer people. Mm-hmm. And I was here for it.
Yeah. Take that, Hallmark.
Okay, fuck off. So... I'm going to try to just jump through some things.
Sure.
So Quentin is part owner of a travel agency in Philly.
Which is funny because Fillory. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Yep.
God. Oh, that's the other thing we should say. It's a completely alternate universe. There's no magic.
Oh, yeah. Very, very
There's your AU, listeners. Christmas AU.
Very, very AU.
So yes, he's part owner of this travel agency. He started it and then sold half of his shares.
Yeah, part ownership.
Part ownership to his wife, Alice, who he then found in bed with his best friend, Penny, and now is his ex-wife who runs the finances of his travel agency.
And it is a yikes situation all around.
I was livid. I saw red as I was reading. Cause the whole thing is that, where Quentin kind of opened the travel agency because of his love of Fillory and of, imagining traveling to different fantastic places. Mm-hmm. And so this was kind of his dream to be able to help people do that. And the thing he likes best about it is that every holiday season they have this charity program where they send, however many number of families on all expenses paid trip around the U.S. or around the world. And he's seeing the kids' faces when they realize they're going somewhere makes it all worth it. And so the fic kind of opens with Alice cutting his budget in like half. And she's been doing this for a few years now. Yeah. So this budget is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And Quentin not having like the headspace to properly, stand up for himself. And Alice being a total C-word. But, by the way, it's my favorite swear word, but I'm in the presence of a lady. So
I will punch him in the throat if he says it out loud, so.
And it's so infuriating. Yeah. And, like, heartbreaking, because we've talked about Quentin and, like, how, he deals with depression and anxiety and all of that. So that's translated very well into this fic, and seeing it in play when, like, I can't imagine how anyone would react if you were still business partners with your ex-wife who cheated on you. Yeah. And, like, your best friend who cheated is also still working there.
Yeah.
Oh, that,
it's bad.
It is awful.
Yeah.
Like, I read that and I was like, this can't be a real situation. Like, my brain could not comprehend thinking about that.
I think it's also interesting because this is a fic where Alice is not a good person. And that, I think the Alice-Quentin dynamic from the show is complicated, and fic usually complicates it even further because that's what fic does.
Yeah.
I think it's a really thoughtful way of making their relationship complicated. I don't think it's, villainizing Alice for the sake of villainizing her, which sometimes fic goes down that road because people are so invested in Quelliot, and I get it.
Yeah.
But this is a very human thing to go through. And it's heightened, certainly. Sure. It's dramatic, but it is fundamentally, like, this could happen in real life. And it is an interesting thing to then have to tease at and be like, what would this situation be like? Particularly for Quentin, who is so anxious and so, like, sad. Like, what does this mean? Like, what does this look like?
Same.
Yeah, but it's not, Alice isn't evil for the sake of being evil.
Right.
She also has her own motivations that are given weight.
Yes, good, very, very good note.
Yeah.
I can't see through my anger.
I know. And I was pissed at her too, but I was like, okay, I see.
You're just more emotionally mature though.
Yeah, maybe.
So we also find out that his best friend now, Julia, works at the company with him and essentially has followed him from company to company.
Yeah, and like has for the whole time.
Yeah, and so
she was there when he founded it.
And so Julia like asks him what's wrong, and Quentin tells her, oh, I just got the budget and we've been, like, cut in half again. Yeah. And Julia's like, leave. Start a new one. I'll go with you. And Quentin's like, I can't do that. And
he's like, this is my baby.
Yeah. Like, and so right off the gate, the stakes are high. And you're like, oh, fuck. I have to read this whole fic to know how this resolves. I need resolution. So we cut to Elliot, who is a lawyer. At Loria, Fogg and Associates.
Yep. Loria is another land in Fillory. Or not in Fillory, but it's like a neighboring kingdom.
Who's Fogg?
Henry Fogg is the Dean of Breakbills.
I see.
Idri is the King of Loria.
And Associates?
I don't know who the Associates are. Presumably Associates are just people.
Right. So, Elliot comes in for a regular day, is heading to his office, and he sees Margot leaning against the door. Margot works there. And has an office right next to him, which we love.
Yep.
We stand.
I live.
Yep. And Elliot's like, all right, what's with the look on your face? Why are you hovering? He opens the door and there's a candy cane hanging from his monitor. And apparently this is some fucking nonverbal way of saying, hey, you're being considered for a promotion to partner.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, guys.
Yeah, I was like, all right, an email would have sufficed.
Yeah, is that
gift basket?
Is that how high-powered lawyers work? This is weird.
I've got no time for an email. Here's a candy cane.
Yeah, really.
And so Elliot is like, oh shit, this is huge, because this is something that Elliot has been working for a long time. And so he's very excited, and he asks Margot who else has gotten a candy cane, and she says, oh, just Poppy.
Poppy is from season 3 of the show. She's actually played by Felicia Day. She is a dragon hunter researcher person. Basically, she's just kind of crazy. And, like, her and Quentin have a bit of a tryst, and it's a whole thing. Yeah, she's an interesting character that you really don't need to know a whole lot of background about. She's used a lot in fic as just, like, a standing kind of, like, pseudo-villain, because she's not evil, but she's not great. It's a whole thing.
Okay, I don't need to know all of it. In my head, she was a middle-aged dumpy woman.
Oh, no. She's Felicia Day. She's beautiful.
Oh, I know. Knowing that it's Felicia Day, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. But yeah, she's kind of a weirdo. Like, she's an interesting one. She's and she's out after a couple of episodes. She doesn't really come back.
Listen, if it's not Quentin, Elliot, Margot, Julia, Alice, or Penny, in my head, I replace them with stock characters.
That's fair.
Oh no, Todd. I love Todd.
Yep. Todd is an experience for all involved. Yeah.
Yeah, so we find out that Poppy is the only other employee at the firm to have gotten the candy cane. And Elliot is like, fuck. Because Henry really values, like, I don't want to say, like, antiquated, but, like, he's old-fashioned.
He's very traditional.
Traditional, yeah. It really, like, likes the family unit, the look of, like, all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And Elliot is like, well, Poppy is happily married and just had a baby.
Yeah.
I am very single.
So very queer.
Yike.
Yeah. This is not going to go well for me.
And this is kind of the beginning of where we see, like, these two scenes with Quentin and Elliot, their first scenes, really set up the crux of their situation so well. Mm-hmm. Like, I cannot give enough praise to these two authors for how they did this. It's wonderful. Because we get Margot saying, like, that's all bullshit. Like, even if Henry is more old-fashioned and likes tradition, you are clearly the better suited one. Mm-hmm. And Elliot doesn't see that. He's just like, no, I mean, I'm in trouble. Like, I'm going to have to fight twice as hard as her, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing.
Yeah, and it's also Elliot doubting that he can get through it on merit alone, which is a very Elliot thing to do. Yeah. Despite the fact that he's, like, a deeply talented and, like, capable individual, he's always been like, well, I'm a fuck up. So this is very coming from that characterization in a really interesting way. Mm-hmm.
Next we see them. Elliot has just bought a sandwich at a food court. And he's hearing these carolers who apparently are god-awful. And also are, like, accosting people. They are going up to people who are eating and, like, just singing in your face until you, like, give to charity.
Have you not experienced this? Oh, that is my interaction with carolers every time.
Really?
Well, I don't want to participate. Leave me alone.
Wow.
It's really, really...
I thought for sure this was like like an exaggeration.
No, I had a very clear image of my home mall food court in this moment because this has happened to me where I'm like, please don't do this. Yeah.
So Elliot is hearing these and he's like on his guard, like making sure he's not gonna get like cornered, and he catches sight of them already having cornered someone. And it's this very cute boy named Quentin.
Yep.
And Quentin is like, ah!
Quentin is curled into a ball and he's like, please stop, please stop, please stop.
And so Elliot, being the gentleman he is, goes up and says, hey, I've been looking for you everywhere, honey. The sitter called. We have to pick up the kids early today. And Quentin is like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like looking at him really confused. And Elliot just mouths, go with it. And Quentin's like, sure, we better go then?
Yeah.
Very questioning. And that is the beginning of a beautiful something.
Yep.
So they're walking out, and Quentin is like profusely thankful to Elliot, and Elliot is like, listen, I've been there. It's good.
Yeah.
I think Elliot says something like that's what fake boyfriends are for. And so Quentin says, if only you could have a pretend boyfriend on call anytime you need one. Mm-hmm. Then realizes what he said. He's like, oh, that's a prostitute. He's like,
oh, wait a minute.
Whoops. And that kind of sows the seed in Elliot's mind. So I think it's like the next day or something. And Poppy has been hanging all over Henry. Like, can I get you a coffee, Mr. Fogg? Mm-hmm. Being just totally obnoxious.
Yep. What a bitch.
Yep. And Elliot thinks, oh, you know what? Maybe it would be good to have a fake boyfriend on call. Mm-hmm. At the end of their day, like when they separated the day before, Elliot kind of said, oh, same time tomorrow, you know, mm-hmm. like a very, like, non-committal flirting way.
Yeah.
And of course, Quentin, being who Quentin is, was like, yeah, I'll be there. You know, and so next day, there he is, looking at his phone like, well, it's been half an hour, I guess.
I am Boo Boo the Clown.
So he hasn't eaten a sandwich, and he's just looking at the time and being like, all right, I will give him 3 more minutes. So Elliot shows up eventually, and they have a conversation where Elliot is like, so listen, I kind of have a proposition. I'm up for a promotion at work. My boss is very traditional. You know, he cares really about, like, family unit, and I think me being in a relationship would kind of tip the scales in my way. I would like for us to be fake boyfriends for the holidays. And Quentin's like, you know, I'm not good at lying and stuff. And Ellie's like, all right, cool, no worries. And Quentin is like, wait, what? And then in the midst of this conversation, he gets a text message from Juliet where she's like, hey, I know you're still not interested in dating, but Katie, who Julia's dating, and I are going out to dinner with Surendra. You remember Surendra, you know? So you're coming to dinner with us on Friday.
Yeah.
And Quentin's like, motherfucker.
I'm so tired.
Yeah. And so then he looks up at Ellie and is like, you know, let's do it.
Yeah.
All
Fuck
right.
it.
Yeah. As a business arrangement, he says, like, firmly. Cut to, there's this thing called the Reindeer Report that Quentin's travel agency does every year in conjunction with, like, a local TV station where one of their employees goes in to do the weather and kind of map out the best route for Santa to take throughout the U.S. And it's really cute. And they plug, like, the charity program and all these other places that you could visit through, like, the travel agency. And it's really cute. Come to find out this year that Alice has hired Penny to do it.
Yeah.
And Quentin is like, why the hell would Penny do it? And Alice answers, he's a model, Quentin.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
Oh, so angry.
Yeah.
But of course, Quentin doesn't do anything. Like, he's like, well, I don't want to fight. I'm tired of fighting. So right after having this conversation with Alice, there's a delivery boy that comes with, like, this basket of really nice flowers. And the receptionist who has had many gifts sent to her with all the boyfriends that she has, comes up and is like, oh, yay, who is it from? And Quentin reads the card and it says, Q, looking forward to our lunch date today and meet me at the Vietnamese restaurant on 4th instead of our usual spot, L. And he says, Elliot. The receptionist is like, Elliot? I don't remember that one. And then Quentin's like, it's for me.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh?
Yeah.
And so this is like, it's so cute that this is essentially Elliot's introduction to Quentin's work. Like, oh, he's seeing someone.
Yeah.
And Julia is like, excuse me?
Yeah. What?
What is this?
Take about 8 steps back and explain right now.
So they meet for lunch, and this is kind of where they iron out all of their terms. Elliot, bless his heart, has made a contract and called it the mistletoe contract.
Because he's a lawyer.
And Quentin is like, I'm not sure that I feel comfortable with signing something that's a contract. And Elliot is like, well, it doesn't have to be a contract. It could just literally be anything else. He's like, promise? Yeah. And so now the mistletoe promise is born. And so they lay down their, like, terms. Essentially, Elliot's is like, I need you to come to some work events. They both need work events, but Elliot's is more heavy-handed. He's like, we've got an ice skating trip. We've got dinner at my boss's. And then a 2 or 3 day trip to New York. All expenses paid. But, you know, it'll be like 2 or 3 days of schmoozing. Yeah. And Quentin is like, yeah, that's fine. We'll do it. So they sign the contract, they sign the promise. And set up a date for that weekend to talk through any, like, rules about, like, PDA and stuff. So they have, like, some time to think about what they want it to constitute, you know? So they go on their date, and they go into an Italian restaurant that Elliot has made reservations for. They walk in, and there's Christmas carols playing, and Elliot kind of has, an attack of, like, anxiety. He's like, I can't do this. I can't go in there. So this is kind of, like, the first glimpse that, like, oh, Christmas is triggering for these two individuals. Quentin is like, oh, you know, it'll be fine. Until he realizes that Elliot is actually having a moment. He's like, hey, we can go somewhere else, you know? Yeah. And Elliot is like, no. I said we would do it. Let's go. And he's like putting on a brave face and doing that thing. So they sit down, they place their order, and Quentin states, you don't really like Christmas, huh? And Elliot, like, notices that Quentin is not judging. He's not like, oh, you don't like Christmas, right? It's just very, like, matter of fact. And Elliot kind of, like, feels kind of a safety talking to Quentin about it and says, you know, it's never been a particularly happy time of the year for me. There's 3 particularly terrible years that haunt me. My Christmas ghosts, if you will. Oh. Which is cute for a very sad thing.
Yeah, you're like, this is probably deeply traumatic, but, like, a cute way of framing your trauma.
And Quentin asks, like, oh, well, would you tell me your first ghost? And Elliot, for whatever reason, he doesn't know really himself, but he feels, like, comfortable and tells him that, like, he almost killed a man on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, he was like, word vomit!
Yep. You find out that he was drunk and he got into a fight with this guy and pushed him in front onto a street right as the bus was coming or something. Yeah. The guy lived and, like, made a full recovery, and it's great. Yeah. Well, maybe not great, but he's fine. Yeah. But, you know, Elliot lives with that guilt.
Yeah.
And Quentin was like, whoa, you know, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have had to tell me that was something to ask. And Elliot's like, no, it's fine. Elliot is surprised that Quentin hasn't run out.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, wow, he's
Still
more
here.
concerned over me having overshared than about what I just said.
What's interesting is that is a reframing of Elliot's actual backstory, where he had telekinetically shoved his bully in high school in front of a bus, and that was how he realized he had magic. So that trauma is like reframed in a different way, and the results of it are different, but it's always...
So the bully died?
Yeah. He killed someone.
No, shouldn't be shocked.
And that's how he and Quentin bond at the beginning, because Quentin is struggling with something early on in season 1, and Elliot was like, we're all fucked up here. And Quentin is like, what are you going to tell me it gets better? And Elliot was like, no, but I'm telling you you're not alone. You are not the only one here who's fucked up.
That's nice.
So that's an interesting reframing of that.
And I think we skipped the rules part. I can't find it.
Yeah.
But I think it happened during the contract signing, where basically the only rules were really like let's keep it light, let's make it fun, let's not get too serious. Mm-hmm. Which already in the first date they have broken many of those rules.
Yep.
So that's great. I think the PDA thing was like Quentin sets the pace because Elliot is very tactile.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. The next thing we see is we're back at Quentin's job. Another delivery of chocolates comes, and the receptionist delivers it and says, "Oh, these look delicious. You'll have to tell me where where Elliot got them." Making it very clear that she doesn't believe it and that she thinks that he's been buying gifts for himself. Which I'm like, what person on earth would do that?
It's like, that's very shitty of you, Fen.
Yeah, fuck you.
It's Fen.
And so Quentin texts Elliot and he's like, "Hey, no one believes me at work."
Yeah.
And Elliot is like, "I'll be there in 20 minutes."
Yeah.
And he comes and it's like perfection.
Yeah, he shows up. He's like, "Hi, darling," and like, it's really cute.
It's like so charming. He charms the pants off of everyone because, of course.
Yeah.
This is also the first chance for Julia to meet Elliot, and so they make the best out of that, you know.
Yeah.
Then they go to lunch, and after lunch, they walk by this pop-up Christmas market that was around the restaurant they were at because they need to bring like an ornament for the tree decorating party at Elliot's boss's. And Elliot asks, "Oh, so, you know, why do you not like Christmas? Why do you hate Christmas?" And Quentin is like, "Well, I used to really love it, actually, but not so much anymore." And Elliot gets the sense that he doesn't want to go further, so he doesn't push. So considerate. Uh-huh. And Quentin feels kind of bad because, like, dude overshared about how he nearly killed a guy. And Quentin's like, I should try harder. I'm gonna find the ornament. And so he finds this like glass bell with 2 doves on it, and it's perfect and it's lovely.
And Elliot was like, "I love you, but shh,
not yet, not yet."
But you can see it. You can see it coming.
It's true. So then they go to the Christmas tree decorating party, and it's wonderful. And Quentin does really well. Like this is another thing they did really well with Quentin's characterization, where he is very awkward, but not painfully. So like he's able to pull it together and be awkward in a charming way.
Yeah.
Which I was like, thank God. Yeah. Thank you, Lord.
That line is hard to walk.
Yeah.
And they pull it off.
And so Quentin is kind of going around charming everyone and like being this awkward little duckling, and everyone loves him, including Henry's wife, Bigby. And there's this moment toward the middle where Henry does like this whole huge speech thanking everyone and like talking about the history of the company and how it's built on like integrity and honesty and family and stuff.
And Elliot's just like, ugh.
And Quentin and Elliot excuse themselves to the bathroom to have a moment of like, we're being assholes. We are lying to people.
Yeah.
And Quentin is like taking it really hard, you know, because he's a soft boy. Elliot is too, but like is hiding it better, you know. He's
a
like
soft boy. Elliot's like, I have to do this.
Yeah, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
After the party, the next thing that happens, Elliot surprises Quentin by taking him Christmas tree shopping. And Quentin is like, "Oh, we're getting a tree for you?" And Elliot is like, "Not for me, it's for you." And Quentin is like, "Fuck no, that's not going in my house."
Yeah.
And, you know, again, very painful memories for both of them for Christmas. And Elliot's like, "Well, you never know, it might be fun. You know, let's go. You know, doing the whole tree thing is supposed to be fun, right? And we're trying to get into the Christmas spirit this year. Let's try actually doing that for 5 minutes and see how it goes." So, because this is, again, one of those things where it's not on their contract. It's not stipulated that they have to go do any Christmassy stuff. They're doing this extracurricular.
Because they're like, "Oh, we like spending time together."
Oh, surprise.
Wonder why that is.
Oh, who knows? And Quentin is like, "Okay, fine, we'll give it a shot." And Elliot is extra as always, like going around talking about like, look at the way that the branches fan out and let the foliage and the height and all of this stuff. And Quentin essentially turns a corner, sees one, and is like, "That one.
Yep.
That one's perfect."
Yep.
And Elliot's like, "But Yeah, okay, it's
All
fine.
right, fine.
It works. And they take this really cute, like, Quentin is like, we should take, like, a selfie in front of it, right? That's a thing boyfriends do.
Yeah.
Quentin tries taking the selfie and he's like, can't get a good angle of both of them and the tree. And he's like, can you take this with your freakishly long arms?
Okay. I may or may not have done the exact same thing with Hale Appleman at Comic-Con. I was like, can you take... Because he does have freakishly long arms. They're like beautiful long arms, but boy, he's tall.
You should tell him that.
Yeah.
Can you take this picture with your beautifully long arms?
Yeah, that may be real creepy. But like, I read that and I was like, that's real.
And so Quentin like hugs him and like, the picture they end up settling on, or the one that Quentin is like, he knows he's going to post or send to Julia, is one where he's hugging Elliot's body and like Elliot is like leaning down at the top of his head, and it's the cutest picture ever.
Yep.
I'm picturing, because they don't actually include a picture.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
This would be the moment for artwork.
Yes.
Fan art, friends.
Get on it.
Yep. Come on.
So then they take this tree back to Quentin's, and Quentin pulls out his box of Christmas decorations that he has not seen in years. And Elliot asks, like, oh, do you have a star or something to go at the top? And Quentin has, like, a moment. He's like, nope, don't have nothing.
Yep.
And Elliot's like, oh, okay, cool. Then I guess we're done. Later that evening or late afternoon, they have a snowman making contest from Quentin's work. And that's the first time that Elliot meets Alice and Penny, which is deliciously tense. Yep. And I just want to be like, punch him.
Yep.
Punch him.
Just hit him.
And then they start having a snowball fight, and eventually Elliot tackles Quentin onto the snow, and they're laughing, and it's cute. And Quentin looks to the side and sees that Alice is watching, and he's like, kiss me.
Yeah.
And Elliot is like, okay. And they make out in the snow, and I died and went to heaven.
Yep. We live.
We lived. And that was kind of the first point where Elliot is like, oh, he cute.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not true. He knew he was cute, but it was the first time where he was like, oh, I felt something.
He was like, my feelings might be more genuine than I am allowing myself to think about, but like, oh, this was nice.
Yep. So later that evening, Elliot is dropping Quentin off, and Quentin's like, you want to come in for a nightcap? And so they do, and they're having drinks, and I think they're a little off kilter because they both felt something, but they're like, uh-oh, that wasn't part of the promise. Oh, no!
How the fake dating trope always goes. We're just like, oh no! Oh boy!
And so they're a little off kilter, and Quentin really wants to like make things like okay again between them. And so he like pulls out this box from the back of his closet, and he's like, I lied before about not having something. And this is when he tells Elliot like what happened with Alice and Penny, and he says Alice, used to love being the one to put the star on the tree, and so that was like, it was just painful to think about.
Also, he found them in bed together on Christmas Eve.
Yes, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, so he was like, so Christmas has been hard.
Christmas has been not great.
Yeah.
So Quentin pulls out the star and puts it at the top of the tree, and he's like, I haven't had a tree since that day, but I would like to be the one to put the star on now. And it's this whole moment of like Quentin really reclaiming Christmas as his own, and like reclaiming even just this small thing. Yeah. And it's so beautiful.
And stepping back into his life. Yeah. And being like, nope, this is mine.
Next thing, we see Quentin stepping out of the elevator at Elliot's building, and with a basket of gingerbread cookies that Julia made, but Quentin helped.
But Quentin is going to take credit for, goddammit.
Yep. Comes in, the perfect boyfriend, ready to surprise his boyfriend at work. Realizes, I don't know where I am. I don't know where his office is. Uh-oh. Henry comes up, and he's like, hey, thanks for coming. It was really lovely to meet you. And like, it was lovely for you to come, and we loved having you. Bigby, like, loved you. And Quentin's like, oh, thank you, Bigby, and you were perfect hosts. And then Elliot, like, comes out of nowhere and is, like, heading straight towards him. And he's like, hey, I didn't know you'd be here. What are you doing here? And Quentin says, oh, I have gingerbread cookies that I made. Wink.
Made.
And so they have this whole moment where, like, Elliot is staring fondly at Quentin, and Quentin is, like, staring dreamily up at Elliot. And Henry's like, well, I'll leave you to it. Yeah. I'll just take a few of these gingerbread home. And, lovely to see you. Hope to see you at the ice skating rink tomorrow. So they go to Elliot's office, and Quentin is like, I can't really stay for very long. I just wanted to drop these off. I have to go back and finish my work because I spent all morning arguing with Alice about, who's going to do the reindeer report. And Elliot is like, the what? Yeah. Excuse me? And so Quentin explains the whole thing with Penny and Alice and the reindeer report. And Elliot is like, oh, well, maybe he'll surprise you. And Quentin's like, I don't know. We'll see. Margot walks in and it was like, oh, this is adorable. And Quentin's like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, I can't stay. I need to go. And Margot's like, oh, I'll walk you to the elevator.
Yeah.
And Elliot says, bye, lover, as he leaves, which is adorable. And as they're walking, like, Margot has this moment where she's like, if you break his heart, like, I'm going to cut you up into tiny pieces that no one is ever going to find.
Yeah.
And Quentin is confused because Margot is the one other person besides Elliot and him that know that this is a contract, that this is fake.
Yeah.
And he's like, but this is fake. And Margot's just like, I said what I said. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And Quentin's like, okay. So then the next thing is they're at the ice skating rink with Elliot's job, and Quentin is having a full-on, like, moment of, like, this is not going to be great. I'm going to fall so much, because he's never ice skated before. And Elliot is, of course, perfect at it, which is great. And they have this moment where, like, you know, Elliot is holding his hand and holding his arm, and, like, before you know it, Quentin is skating with everyone, and it's great. So, cut to the day right before the reindeer report is going to be filmed. And Quentin and Alice are having it out again. Quentin is like, does he know the script? Like, have you seen him rehearse it? He's so monotone. How are we supposed to advertise the company and the charity program if he is just going to be super monotone and have no holiday cheer? And Alice is like, he's going to look great and it'll be fine. Also, one other small thing, we're not promoting the charity this year. Mm-hmm. And Quentin is like, what the fuck do you mean? Mm-hmm. And that's like,
knockdown,
so
drag out.
Angry.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing he loves about his company that he's built at Alice is like, we're not doing that shit.
Yeah.
So, reindeer report, we're not talking about the charity, and Quentin is devastated.
Yep. He is pissed.
Elliot walks in, and Quentin's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, Penny and I are going out for a drink. You know, I figured I could give him some tips about, you know, being on TV or, like, talking with confidence and stuff. And Alice and Quentin are like, what?
Yeah.
And Penny is like, yeah, bye. And so they leave, and Alice and Quentin are left with, like,
so much confusion.
Yup. Same as me, truthfully. So, next day, they're at the studio. Penny goes up, is in front of the camera, starts talking, is monotone, realizes it's monotone, tries to inject some Christmas cheer, sounds sarcastic, and then says, you know what, fuck this. Tears off his mic packet, drops it on the floor, and walks out.
Leaves.
And everyone is like, what?
Yeah.
Like, Alice literally says shit.
Yeah.
Which also, like, Alice, what the fuck? Yeah. Some common sense, you dumb bitch. Anywho.
You could have seen this coming.
Like, even if it was to stick it to Quentin, like, this is half of your company too.
Right.
You want to put a best foot forward anyway, something like this. And so the news anchor or the director of the station is like, oh, fuck, all right, let's cut back to the reporter, I guess. And Elliot says, hang on. Quentin, you do it. You know the script like the back of your hand. And Quentin is like, I cannot do it.
Yeah.
I am a nervous boy.
Yeah, I am a shy boy who does not wish to be seen.
Correct. And Elliot is like has this moment where he's like, you can do this.
Yeah. Get your shit together and
he
do
like
it.
Clips the mic pack for Quentin and pushes him out there. And Quentin is like deer in headlights in front of the camera for a moment, looks through the two-way, like the glass into where Elliot is standing, sees like how much faith Elliot has in him, and then he starts a little shaky, but he does it, and he's so good, and you can see like the passion that he has for what he does, and he memorized it with the charity program in mind. So he like it just slipped out like part of the routine. And, you know, it's not his fault that fucking Alice didn't waited until the day before to tell him that there was going to be a change. Yeah. So.
And he's also, like, not sad about it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And there's this beautiful moment where he runs up to Elliot and, like, hugs him. And he's, like, shining with how proud he is that he was able to do that. Yeah. And you are, like, I'm in tears. And I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Oh, precious baby. Yeah.
And then Alice is there and is obviously pissed. And was like, you and your boyfriend did this to sabotage it. Like, and you talked about your stupid fucking charity program. And she's pissed. Yeah. And Quentin is like, it's not my fault. I told you Penny could not do it.
Yeah. Quentin's like, eat shit, Alice, basically.
Yeah. And Alice storms off. And then Quentin has to ask Elliot, like, you actually didn't do anything to, like, sabotage him. And Elliot's like, no, I honestly did not. I was trying to help. You know, I really, like, you've helped me so much with all of my work events, and I just wanted to be able to give you something substantial. Right. So I just taught him a little bit about confidence and stuff, but I guess it didn't really take.
Yeah, he's like, it either didn't take or I fucked it up and didn't realize. Like, basically, he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, this was not my intention by any means. Like, I know this is bad, actually. Yeah. So you're like, okay, good.
So after that, to celebrate, like, Quentin wants to grab a drink with Julia and Elliot, and they have a gay old time, and Julia and Elliot really hit it off, and they're really friendly, and Quentin is happy, and we're all happy. Yep. It was the best time. And in the classic fanfic / rom-com.
And you know that it can't last.
Right after the highest high comes the lowest low. Yep. So
Alan cries for about 20 years.
Oh, so Quentin's at his office the next day, and he's like, he's still like riding the high of like not only doing the reindeer report, but also of Elliot and Julia really liking each other, and him realizing that he really likes spending time with Elliot. When out of nowhere, outside of his office, he hears a loud, "Oh my God." And then 2 seconds later, Julia walks into his office and says, "So we're going to talk later about how you lied to me, but before then, you might want to decide to work from home for the rest of the day." Mm-hmm. And Quentin is like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Oh, you must be the only one who didn't get the email." And she pulls out her phone and shows it to him. And it's from the agency's admin email address. It was sent like an all staff. There's nothing on the subject line or in the body of the email, but there was an attachment, and it was named The Mistletoe Promise. Yeah. Which is the digital version that Elliot sent Quentin, you know, as a formality after they had signed it. So basically, everyone at Quentin's job now knows that their relationship is a sham. Yeah. And it's very clear that, you know, there's only like 2 people who would have access to like the company's email server to find out who.
Like his email specifically.
Right. And he's like pissed. Yeah. He like
rightfully so.
Storms over to Alice's office, and he's like, "You hacked my emails." And she's like, "You shouldn't be using your email accounts for personal matters." And he's like, "You don't give a shit what I use my email for. This is about yesterday. This is about you." And like he talks to, like, he points to Penny. Oh my God, I'm so angry. Yep. And he points to Penny and he's like, "This is about you not being able to get your head out of your ass for long enough to give a shit about something other than yourself. And then you fucked us all over TV because you were unprepared." Mm-hmm. And Penny is like, "No, like, I would have been prepared if your boyfriend didn't pull me away from the afternoon to distract me." Yeah. And, oh, but wait, he's not really your boyfriend, is he?
Yeah, and it's real petty.
It's like, I was so angry. And so Penny was like, "So you started this, asshole." And Quentin says, "I think you were kind of the asshole first when you slept with my wife."
Oh, snap!
And that, like, Penny, like, reels back, and Alice also is like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah, like, this is about to get real.
And then Quentin, like, loses his anger, and is just left with, like, he's exhausted and disappointed, and he's like, "You know, we were friends once, we were married, we loved each other, like, why does it have to be this?" And neither Alice or Penny can look him in the eye. Yeah. And he's done. He walks out, he grabs his stuff, and he leaves. Yeah. And so he had a lunch date. So we cut to Elliot, who's really excited to see Quentin for lunch, because they have a lunch date set up. Yes. Elliot is now waiting for him at lunch, and he was late already, like, because he got caught up in a meeting, and he didn't see Quentin. So he's like, "Oh, what's happening?" He gets a text message from Quentin saying, "I can't make it, sorry." And Elliot is trying to grapple with, like, okay, what is a casual way to be like, "Are you okay?" Right. And he's like, "Caught up at work." And Quentin says, "I just can't do it." And then Elliot is like, "Uh-oh, are you okay?"
Yeah, what's happening?
Yep. And doesn't hear back. Ah! And he, like, has this whole, like, his whole day is, like, focused around, like, being so worried about Quentin and wanting to be there for him, but, like, understanding that they're, like, it's not a real relationship. He can't do that. And Margot tells him, you know, just, you know, you can't leave for another afternoon. Like, not when you're trying to get a promotion. Stick your head into your work and, like, deal with it after. And that's what he does. And he, like, you know, gets home, still has not heard back from Quentin. He's like, "I'm going to call him." Calls him, gets his voicemail.
Calls, like, Julia.
But, so what happens is he gets home, he's, like, all depressed, which, this entire part, too relatable. I was like, this is too relatable. he finally gets a response from Quentin that says, sorry, I'm okay, I just need a minute.
Yeah.
And Elliot is like, do you want me to come over? Like, all care to the wind, he's like, I want it. Like, he wants to be there and, like, make sure he's okay and, like, comfort him. And Quentin replies, yeah, so that's the exact opposite of giving me a minute. But that would be nice, actually.
But yes, please.
Yeah. And so Elliot is, like, grabbing his stuff, and he's almost out the door when he gets another text message from Quentin that says, hold on, Penny's here. I'll text you after.
Yeah.
And Elliot's like, what?
Penny?
We cut to Quentin, and Penny is at his house. He brought a 6-pack of beer. Penny has come to apologize for what he did to Quentin and for being cruel to him for years just for the sake of being cruel. And he, like, it's very... Like, Quentin talks or thinks a lot about how Penny and him have always had this kind of relationship where Penny has a hard time expressing his feelings. So he knows how much this means, like, for Penny to do this. And Penny, like, apologizes and...
And they really hash it out.
They do. Like, Penny apologizes and says, you know, I think the reason that I've been cruel to you just for the sake of being cruel is because I couldn't think about what I had done. I couldn't live with the fact that I had hurt you the way that I did.
Yeah.
And it's this really, like, ow moment where you're like, shit. Because on one hand, you don't, like, at least as a reader, for me, like, I hold grudges.
Yep.
And it's very hard for me to just be like, yeah, that's fine. You know, this is huge. Granted, it's been a few years, but, like, every day of torment of, like, taking over my company, of not letting me do the things I want to do. But, you know, Quentin is a good boy. He's a soft boy, and he's like, he's just tired of fighting, and he's like, yeah, let's let go of the animosity, and let's
try to move forward.
Let's move forward, yeah.
Nothing is, like, we're not going to be best friends again.
No, yeah.
But, like, let's move forward with this.
Yeah. So we got back to Elliot, who has started to drink whiskey by the cup. He's like, he's trying. Something that I thought was done really well in this is that they don't, like, outright talk about Elliot's, like, substance abuse with alcohol, which we all know is a thing. But you can tell a lot in the way that he acts around alcohol. So, like, the first part of it says Elliot had poured another 2 fingers of whiskey and brought the glass to his lips before he remembered that his last glass was going to be his last one. Which is just, like, a very subtle way to, like, acknowledge this is something that he has to be conscious of. Yeah. And I thought that was, like...
Yep.
Wonderful.
Well done.
So it's been 2 hours of him not watching Netflix and just, like, drinking and trying to, like, take the edge off. And he has called Julia to, like, ask, you know, and told him, you know, Penny's there. What's happening? Do you know anything? Eventually, he gets a phone call from Quentin. And he's like, Q, what happened? So now Elliot knows that everyone at Quentin's job knows. And so they have this whole phone conversation where Quentin tells him, you know, like, I'm so sorry. And, like, I've had a really rough day. And... you know what happened now, and I feel so bad about lying to Julia. And Ellie's like, well, I talked to Julia, and she's going to be okay. Give her time. But it's going to be okay. And so Quentin tells him why Penny came over to apologize and, like, try to make amends and move forward. And Elliot is like, well, do you believe him? And Quentin says, I want to, you know? Yeah. I want to move forward. It's so nice. And he's like, I don't know that I can trust him, but I just... like, what do I have to lose from giving it a shot? Yeah.
Anything is better than what we've been doing, basically.
And Elliot asks, are you okay? And Quentin says, I think so. I just think I need to sleep for about 5 years. At least the flight isn't too early tomorrow. And so they fly out to New York for the final trip tomorrow. Yeah. And Elliot is, like, in shock that Quentin still wants to come, because now... Quentin is getting nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, he's going to be a laughingstock when he comes back to work on Monday. Right. So, Elliot is like, you don't have to come, you know? Like, if today's been so terrible, like, it's fine if you want to stay home. Like, I'll think of something. Yeah. And Quentin says, I'm going. Like, I said I would, and I want to do something good for someone else, even if I can't manage to hold it together for myself. Yeah. And he's like, I want to go. They get to New York. They go to their suite, and it's wonderful. And it's big. It's one bed, which Quentin did not think about, despite the fact, like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. We would have one bed as a couple.
I live for
The
there's
one
only
bed
one
trope.
bed.
Yeah, the
there's
one
only
bed
one
trope.
bed. I don't care how many times I read it. Every time I go, there's only one bed.
And there's always the like expectation of like, are they gonna cuddle? What's gonna happen?
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're gonna start on separate sides of the bed, and then it ends up being like, octopus of affection, and I'm just like, every time it's the same, every time, and every time I'm like, oh, they're cuddling. There's one bed.
It is delightful. Yeah, so they have an event that night, and so they're getting ready, and Quentin is really nervous, and he's in a very vulnerable state with all of it that has just happened. And he's trying very hard to... So at this point, Quentin has also started to... Elliot pretty much knows that he loves Quentin.
Yeah.
Quentin is still kind of oblivious about it and has started to notice that he enjoys Elliot's company and likes the way Elliot looks.
Yeah.
As evidenced by Elliot coming out in just a towel.
Yeah.
And Quentin, having to lean over the sofa to look closer.
Yeah. Being like,
Ooh, interesting. So they're getting ready. Quentin is ready. And he hears a soft curse from the bathroom, and he's like, are you okay? Walks in to see that Elliot is having trouble tying his tie. And he says, need some help. And Elliot is like, I know how to tie a tie. And Quentin says, I know you probably know how to tie this 20 different ways that I don't, but let me do it anyway.
Yeah, let me help you. And you're just like, oh god. It's so soft.
Yeah.
So soft.
And it's a really nice moment to kind of ground them. And Elliot brings out a gift that he has for Quentin, and there are these cufflinks in the shape of ram's heads, which apparently they're not designed to be fillery themed, but Quentin is touched.
Yeah.
To say the least, yes. To have someone not only know about his obsession with this fantasy series, children's fantasy series, but to have someone thoughtfully pick a gift out for that.
Yeah. Well, it means he had to know enough about the series to recognize that it was meaningful, which means he has taken an interest in Quentin's interests.
Yeah. So at the mixer, Elliot is really having a hard time because he knows he loves Quentin, knows that Quentin is just, faking it for the laughs, and also now is feeling really guilty about the fact that he's putting Quentin through all of this and lying to everyone in his job. So he's having a time.
Yeah.
Quentin is his usual charming self, and so they're at this mixer, and someone asks him what does Christmas mean to you? And Elliot is triggered again. Yeah. Christmas ghosts, and Quentin saves him by saying, "Why don't you tell him that story about those friends of yours you met in the mall?" Yeah. And Elliot goes into the story about how they started fake dating for something, and then they fell in love, and it's this moment of
oh no.
Yeah. And then Bigby comes over and is like, that was you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Elliot and Quentin were like, oh. And finally Quentin was like, last year. Yeah, that was us last year. And here we are now.
Yeah, a year in. And delightful. And definitely for real dating.
Yep. And Bigby is over the moon. And she's like, I can't believe you hid him away from us for a whole year.
Yeah.
And it's, breaks your heart.
Yep.
So they leave the party. And Elliot is like, let's walk. Let's walk. Their hotel's not too far from here. And Quentin is like, it is snowing, sir.
It is cold and dark.
But he does it anyway because he's a good boy.
Yep.
Tough boy.
Because he likes Elliot.
Yep. And so they walk around the corner and there's this carriage that looks like straight out of a fillery fantasy world. And, of course, Elliot has already prepaid for it. And it's so sweet. And they take this carriage right back to the hotel. It's snowing. It's beautiful. And Quentin is a little cold, so Elliot puts his arm around him and they're leaning on each other. They have this really charged moment where they look at each other and it's clear that the next thing that should happen is a kiss.
Yeah.
And Quentin looks away.
Yeah. Quentin bails.
Yep. And Elliot is like, see, he doesn't want you.
Yep.
Well, that's proof enough.
But in Quentin's brain, it's we did not agree to this.
Yeah.
I do not want to push him.
He is a good boy. He's following the rules they set out.
He's like, I should not do this, even though I want to.
So they get back to their hotel room, and as they're getting ready for bed, Quentin realizes, again, the one bed problem. He's like, I could sleep on the floor, or the couch looks like it's big enough.
Yeah.
And Elliot is like, or I know how to keep my hands to myself. And so they are sharing this bed, and apparently neither of them packed shirts to sleep in, so they just have pajama bottoms.
They did not think about this. I was like, come on.
Or they did think about this.
Yeah, or it was a plan.
Yeah, so they're laying in bed. Neither of them can sleep. And Elliot is kind of turned over to look at Quentin. And then he feels like a knee against his knee.
Yeah.
And then he feels some fingers on his forearm. And you're like, oh. And then Quentin, like, kisses him.
Yeah.
And then they fuck.
Yep. It escalates very quickly.
Very quickly. And
very quick.
My God. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And it's, like, the perfect amount of, like, smutty with, like, actual feelings. And, like, you can, like... Quentin is in love with him and Elliot's in love with him, and I think like they say something to that effect of like, you know,
it's like, oh, I've actually really liked you this whole time.
And, like, they mentioned at one point like Elliot is like, I wanted to kiss you on the carriage, and Quentin says, I wanted you to,
and Elliot's like, oh boy, okay, cool.
So the next morning...
I live for a morning after.
Fuck you.
I do. I really do.
You.
I think they're great.
Fuck you.
God, they're so angsty.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I got to this chapter and I was pissed at you all over again. I was like, you've got to stop sending me shit that's gonna break my heart.
I can't.
Like, why? Magicians fandom, I get it. We're hurt. I understand. But it, like, come on.
I know.
Why can't we ever just have some fluffy shit? Like, there's always, like, a moment that breaks my heart. There's always, like, Quentin doubting something and hurting Elliot and Elliot being really hurt, and then, the misunderstandings.
But it always resolves in the end.
Oh, fuck off. I have to read another 10,000 words before I got there. It was 1 a.m., Aaron.
Yay, we're here. It's fine.
Oh, my God. Anywhoomst. So the next morning, Quentin wakes up in Elliot's arms, and, like, it's very clear that Elliot is, like, in Cloud 9, and Quentin goes to the bathroom to take a shower, and in the shower has, like, a whole panic attack where he's like, oh, I love Elliot. And it's like, yeah, buddy, welcome.
Yep.
Welcome to where we have been for the last 6 chapters.
Yep.
Oh, my God. And so he has this moment where, like, this is where Quentin's actual, like, anxiety and, like, comes into play, where he, you know, has that moment of, like, what if I'm not good enough? You know, what if after we're done impressing his bosses, after he gets his promotion, he gets bored with me, like, what if I get hurt again? And so he makes the decision to throw up walls and be like, I can't do this. And so he comes out of the bathroom and Elliot is like, you know, all sexy with an open robe and like in the covers.
It's like, good morning!
Yeah, but he's like, I thought we could order room service before we have lunch in a few hours, or we have time enough for...
Yeah.
And that's when kind of just like, I can't do this. Yeah. I'm sorry. And Elliot breaks.
Yeah.
He like shuts down and he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Quentin self-sabotages and it causes a significant amount of collateral damage.
It is devastating and I have never forgiven you.
I'm so sorry. But I'm not, because it's great.
And so they're getting ready to go to the last event of their promise, which is this lunch where they announce who's going to be partner. And Elliot has shut down completely, where he's not even looking at Quentin, and Quentin is of course grappling with like loving Elliot and not wanting to get hurt, and also not wanting to lose Elliot and wanting things to be the way they were before, which is never going to happen, people. Like it's not anyway. Yeah. And Quentin tells him, "You should tell them that this is fake." And that gets Elliot's attention. He's like, excuse me? Yeah. And Quentin says, you know, you should get this because you deserve to. And you do deserve to. Yeah. And that's really big for Elliot, to have someone see all of the bad things about him and still believe in him. Yeah. Yep. So they're at the lunch, and Elliot is like reeling from everything that has happened in the last 24 hours. Yes. Good boy. And so Bigby turns to Elliot in the middle of the lunch and asks, what about you, Elliot? Have you ever thought about getting married? And then turns and winks very obviously at Quentin. Mm-hmm. And this is when Elliot, can't hold it back anymore. And he's like, you know what? Actually, Quentin and I didn't meet last year. That was this year. This has been, fake. I've been deceiving you. I asked him to come with me so that you wouldn't think less of me because I wasn't in a relationship. And Idri asks him, well, why are you telling us this now? And Elliot says, because I deserve to be made partner because of my work, not because of whether or not I'm in a relationship. Mm-hmm. I fought hard for every step in my career, despite the setbacks that I've had, despite coming to the city with nothing. I'm proud of the life that I've built, the career that I've built with your help. And he's like, and you know that I'll be a valuable asset to a firm as partner if you just let go of the ideal that families and marriages are the only way to promote goodness. And more importantly, I know that. Mm-hmm. And it's... this is so satisfying in a different way from how Quentin because Quentin had that moment where he really stood up for himself and to Alice and Penny, and you're just like, yes, fuck him up. And this is a moment where Elliot stood up for himself, he believed in himself, and you're just like, yes, baby, you're beautiful and everything you do is great.
Yep. And you were like, and it's also such a triumph for, like, queer people.
Yes!
It's a moment of not just Elliot winning.
That's true.
You know,
Good
like,
point.
I felt so validated.
You're right.
I was like, you're right, Elliot! We're all good. We're good eggs.
And he's like, and I've never met anyone as brave and kind-hearted as Quentin. And Quentin says, I'm so sorry for lying to you, to all the people that he's met, and then starts to, like, have a moment, and he's like, I need to not be here. This is a business meeting. I'm so sorry. And he runs out.
Yeah.
And Elliot is like, whoa, wait, what? Hang on.
Yeah.
And, like, starts to run after Quentin, looks back at the table, realizes that there's nothing that he wants more than to be with Quentin, and so he runs out of the lunch meeting.
Yeah.
Stops him in the lobby, and, you know, they have this whole moment where Quentin is like, what are you doing here? Go back inside. And Elliot says, no, I'm not going without you. Are you okay? And Quentin's like sobbing, and he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I it's not okay. I'm sorry. I broke the contract and fell in love. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And that's when that's all Elliot hears, because he's like, love. He's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And so he's like, Quentin, like, literally is about to say, I love you. And Henry comes in and is like, hey, we need you inside. Like,
yeah.
Adri wants you to be there, and like, if I stand any chance of convincing him that you should be partner, you need to be in there. Mm-hmm. Which is when, you know, it's revealed that Elliot is the favorite to make partner. Yeah. And Quentin is like, go, I'm leaving, and I'm gonna catch the flight home. I'll see you around. Yeah. And Elliot is like, wait, no, please don't go home. And Quentin is like, I can't, you know.
Yeah,
bye.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Bye.
And so, yeah, and Quentin goes home. Yep. Goes home, goes to his office, talks to Julia about everything, and he's like, I'm so sorry about lying to you. And she's like, you know, I'm still angry at you, but I'm sorry for what you've gone through, and like tells him that he slept with Elliot and that he's in love, and and he's like, I threw up my walls because I'm afraid of being hurt. And Julia tells him, well, like, but isn't it worth it, you know, to have the shot? And Quentin is like, you know, you're right. And I'm going to call him. Pulls out his phone. It's dead. Yep. And Julie asks, do you have your charger? And Quentin is like, nope. Remembering he left it plugged into his bedside table at the hotel. Yep. And I'm like, too relatable.
Yep. He's like, yeah, I've done that.
He's like, so I'm going to go home so I can charge this and I can call him and tell him I love him. Mm-hmm. And you're like, yes, go. This is the part of the rom-com movie where everyone's like, go. Yeah. And so they're packing up and they're about to leave. Julie's going to give him a ride. When Alice's office opens and you realize that Alice was there and was eavesdropping, and everyone was like, uh-oh. Yeah. And Alice was like, can I talk to you? And Quentin is like, yeah, sure. Because he's, you know, he has this moment of like, he's flying on the wings of love. Yep. So he meets with Alice, and Alice essentially is like, you know, I am sorry for what happened between us, and I am sorry for how it's been between us at work. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to sell my share of the company back to you at the price that I bought it for. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, is big because the company has grown since she bought in. Right. So this is like a real, like...
Yeah, it's a very selfless offer in a lot of ways.
And Quentin is like, are you sure? Like, I don't want you to, like, leave if it's, like, just for my sake. And Alice is like, no, I want to move and build something of my own. Yeah. Which is really great. And I think... Maybe not necessarily a redemptive moment, but it's like a step in the right direction. It's a step towards redemption. Not only like the cheating, yes, but also I think it's like 4 years of this has gone on of like slowly sleeping away at Quentin's job and like all the things that he loves. So that is truly unforgivable. And she owns up to it the same way that Penny does. Is like, it was the way I could cope, you know, with what I had done, which is a shitty thing to do, but she's acknowledging it and it's a step in the right direction. Yep. So that's great. And Quentin is like, thank you, and yes, let's talk about it on Monday. So that's what's going to happen. We cut to Elliot, who is standing outside of Quentin's home while it's snowing. He hasn't been able to reach Quentin because his phone is dead. Yeah. And so he's talking to Margot, and he's like, well, you're either going to have to send a care package or a rescue squad. Yeah. Because I'm not leaving this spot until I've talked to Quentin. Yep. Eventually, he sees Quentin walking up to his house, to his driveway. Quentin sees Elliot. A smile breaks out on his face. They run to each other. And Quentin's like, what are you doing here? I thought you weren't getting back till tomorrow morning. And Elliot's like, well, after they announced that I got the promotion, I went to the hotel, packed up, and got the next flight here. Yeah. And Quentin is like, you got it. Congratulations. This beautiful moment where he's so proud. And more importantly, they confess their love for each other, and they say, you know, and Quentin specifically is like, you know, I'm scared, but I want to try with you. I want to try with us. Yeah. And it's beautiful, and that's the end of the chapter. And then the next chapter is Christmas day. They wake up Christmas Day. This is like 5 days since they confess their love, and they have essentially been in bed and done nothing else, which is wonderful.
All anyone really wants.
Truly. Quentin wakes up before Elliot does, takes a shower, looks through his Merry Christmas text messages and has one from Alice that just says Merry Christmas, Quentin.
Yeah.
And, very sweet moment where it's like, maybe they'll be okay someday.
Yeah.
Then it ends with some smut.
Yep.
And it's wonderful.
And it's great.
Jesus Christ, I need to stop talking.
But it's such a good story.
Why is it always... Do you notice that it's always the same two fandoms for us? Like... It's always Harry Potter for mine. It's always The Magicians for yours, where we just go on and on and on. Christ.
Yep.
But it's so good.
Well, I wonder if it's because those worlds are so detailed that it's easy to get caught up in the, minutia of stories.
It's true. And it's it's just so well written. And there's so many parts in it that are beautiful. And I think this one in particular, there was so much happening, but it was also, so quick. So I love this fic.
Yay!
It was wonderful.
Good.
So good.
Hip hip hooray.
Yes.
What would you rate it?
I would give it, I think, a 4.8.
That's so high.
I really, really liked it.
Good.
This is going into
win.
Oh my god. So are you ready for the averages to reset next year?
No! No!
Say goodbye to your 2 5s and 4.8.
No! That's not how this works. It's a cumulative GPA.
I don't think so. But this is really well done. I am so surprised. Not surprised. I read a lot of Christmas fic, and a lot of it, the problem I had with in today's episode of Alan Tries to Find Fic.
Yeah.
The problem with trying to find Christmas or New Year's, really, fics was that holiday fic is such a strong thing, and most fics have, a Christmas moment, and then they have a New Year moment, but there's never straight up, all Christmas.
Yeah.
And I thought this did that really well. I was in the Christmas spirit a lot. They did a lot of the, holiday things, snowman, ice skating.
Oh, yeah.
Warm drinks. The one thing they didn't have was gift exchanging, and that would have... That would have...
Yeah.
That would have made it a
That's the point, too. Yeah.
That would have done it for me.
Yeah.
Because something about, seeing what people get for each other.
Yeah.
Perfect. I've been doing the chef's kiss a lot.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Very good.
All right. New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Shifting gears.
Please, you do the one I sent you, because I need a moment.
Okay. So, Alan sent me... I'll give you 3 guesses, friends, and the first 2 don't count.
I will not take this judgment from someone who literally sent me the same 2 fandoms they did last episode.
I know! But this is who I am as a person.
Listen, I figured it's the end of the year. I'm just gonna go with some fandoms that I like. Be glad it wasn't Naruto. I was on a Naruto kick for a month.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, cool. So, Alan sent me a fic that is called Made to be Broken by Yahtzee.
Congrats, Yahtzee.
Yep. It is an X-Men fanfic between Eric Lensher and James McAvoy.
Listen. James McAvoy. His name's Charles Xavier.
It's James McAvoy. It'll always be James McAvoy to me. It is a 4-part alternate universe modern setting, no powers fic. Mm-hmm. The summary is, Charles makes a New Year's resolution. No more straight men, Charles repeated as he began scrolling through the apartment directory for Emma's name. No more futility. No more pointless hoping and heartbreak. In 2013, I never want to hear the words exception, experimenting, or phase. If, God forbid, I hear bi-curious even once, I may take a hostage. Then he goes into the party, and Eric is there. Wow. What a summary. So, the story starts at Emma Frost's New Year's Eve party, which is apparently a traditional thing that Charles and Raven, his sister, go to every year. Mm-hmm. And every year he looks forward to seeing Eric Lensher there, because Eric is a beautiful, beautiful man.
Gorgeous.
And as Charles and Raven are approaching the party, Charles is like, I'm so done with this, dating bullshit. I am so over straight men using me as their experiment, as their, one and done. They're okay with me doing stuff to them in bed, but, as soon as I try to, get some reciprocal
they see me as a whole.
Yeah. Then they, walk out. And, they're not about it. And all of a sudden, it's I'm, the pariah. He's like, I'm done. No more straight men. And Raven is like, is that a problem that you really have? And he's like, yes, it is.
Amen.
So he's like, this is my New Year's resolution. Also, New Year's resolution, I'm going to start making coffee at home because shit's expensive. I was like, great, good for you.
Makes sense.
So they approach the party, and when Charles goes in, Eric is there, as he is every year. And we learn that Eric has finalized his divorce to Magda, Who's Magda?
So it's his wife.
In the series?
Yeah, in the second movie.
Okay.
I think she ends up being killed.
That's a bummer.
His wife Magda and his daughter.
Oh, okay. That happened in a AU that you sent me.
Yes.
Okay. So Eric is like, oh yeah, he and Magda got divorced this summer, so he's technically single. Already fucking up his New Year's resolution.
Just some flirting.
Lasted approximately 5 seconds. And they talk, and every year Charles really looks forward to this conversation he has with Eric. He's like, it's always been really easy with Eric, like this conversation, like we always get really deep really fast, but in a way that feels really natural and really wonderful. And they kind of monopolize each other during the party. And this year it's a little extra charged because Eric is single for the first time, and Charles has been harboring this crush for however many years it is. So he's just like, okay. So there's a lot of Charles being like, oh, this unrequited thing. Like, I'm going to go home and end up just, like...
jerking off.
Yeah, to, like, thoughts of Eric again. Life is hard.
Yep.
And then they end up on the balcony for the midnight, when it turns midnight on New Year's Eve. They're talking, and during this conversation, it is revealed that Charles has had a very difficult and tense relationship with his mother, and his mother recently died, and, like, he's, like, struggling. And Eric kind of parses out some of the frustrations with the divorce and all that kind of stuff. They're really, like, again, having a very deep, like, personal conversation. And it's, like, it's happening again, where Charles is like, God damn it. Like, he's so good. And, like, we're just really good. And Charles realizes that it's about to be midnight. And he's like, oh, we should go outside. And Eric's like, no, we shouldn't.
Or
it's fine. And they start hearing the countdown. And at 1, when the ball drops, Eric kisses Charles. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. As they're kissing, the balcony door gets, like, burst open. So they get broken apart, and Charles is like, what the fuck was that? And he doesn't have any, like, they can't talk about it or anything. So Raven comes out, and, like, a bunch of people come out, and they give him, like, hugs and kisses all around, and, like, friendship, and, like, woo, New Year's. But Charles is like,
let's do that again.
Yeah, like, this is great, but also, like, what? And then it reoccurs to him that he was like, Eric is straight. Is he just going to be another, like, person who uses me? And then he's like, do I care? Like, does that matter? And he doesn't really have an answer for himself right away, which is kind of funny. And he's like...
It's like, didn't you just make a resolution not to do this kind of thing? Is what he asked himself. And then he's like, well... New Year's Eve didn't count.
Yeah, he's like, it's not New Year yet. That's fine. So they kind of get separated, and they end up back inside. And Charles catches Eric eventually talking to somebody and, like, kind of just, like, very gently pulls him away. And he's like, Eric could totally bail on this if he wanted to. Like, I'm not being forceful or creepy or anything. But he kind of grabs him by, like, the wrist and is like, all right, let's go. And takes him into the bedroom where all of the coats are, which is, like, hilarious and so funny. And kisses him. Like, pulls him into a kiss. So they're kissing, and it's, like, great. Charles has, like, basically decided, Eric is straight, he's drunk, this is what it is, it's gonna be fine, but, like, I'm also going to do this. Yeah. I'm here for it.
Biggest crush for years, and it's like, obviously I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, and then Charles is like, have you ever kissed a man before? And Eric is like, it's my first time. And Charles is like, confirmed, straight boy. Like, nope. And he says something about, oh, are you being bad tonight? Like, kind of being a little, like, flirty, sexy, whatever. But also, like, there's an undercurrent there of, like, Charles' insecurity is slipping through a little bit.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you're doing something wrong tonight.
Yeah, and that's how he's sort of been framing a lot of his relationships, as people treating him like some kind of dirty secret. Yeah. Eric kind of agrees with him and is like, And Charles is like, all right, then let's go for it. And then, basically, they get caught again. But this time, like, Raven stands there and is like, all right, you done making out? Like, we gotta go. It's time to go. And they leave, and Raven is like, did Eric hit on you? Like, what happened? And Charles is like, don't. And Raven is actually super protective of him in that moment, and is like, I cannot believe he would do that to you. Like, that's so shitty. And Eric is like, don't worry about it. Like, it was a thing. It happened, but it's not gonna happen again. Like, just let it go. And Raven's like, fine, whatever. And Charles is like, all right, I'm done. Whatever. One time only situation. Chapter 2 opens with Eric calling Charles. Being like, hey, do you want to get coffee? And Charles is like, what? Like,
excuse me?
Huh? like, this has never happened before. Because in the previous, moment, he was always like, they were the kind of people who, like, they would get together on New Year's Eve, have this really deep conversation, really like each other, say, oh, we should catch up over coffee, and then it never happens.
Yep.
And then the next year, they would do the same thing over and over and over again. So for him to actually call is kind of monumental. So he's just like, sure, let's go get coffee. So they walk, Eric is like, oh, I was in your neighborhood, which is a blatant lie.
Because he lives in Brooklyn.
Yeah, he lives in a different borough in New York. And Charles is like, you're full of shit, but okay, whatever.
Right.
So they meet at Starbucks, and they're, like, drinking Starbucks, whatever, and they're talking. And they're sitting there, whatever, and there's a little bit of sort of introspection on Charles's part about, like, what's happening in his history with Raven and, like, how he really appreciates how Raven has been looking out for him in this situation, because historically they've been, like, because they come from an abusive household, they had always just kind of, like, sacrificed each other in order to protect themselves, and that's something that they've been working through in adult life in a very real way. But he really appreciates that she is kind of making a point of being a little bit more protective of him. So he goes and meets Eric, and they're both a little hungover from New Year's. They're at Starbucks, and they're like, well, it's kind of busy. And he's like, Eric says, the best part about, New Year's Day is that everybody's, like, asleep. So it's the one time where New York is quiet, and you can just kind of, like, walk around and actually hear yourself think. And Charles is like, is that what you want to do right now? And he's like, yeah, sure. So they kind of go walking with their coffee.
Cute.
Yeah, and they go and talk, and they're like, okay. And Charles is like, I gotta put a stop to this. Like, I know where this is going. Eric is not being subtle right now, that he is, like, interested, but he was like, this isn't real. Like, this is him, like, experimenting, and I gotta end this. Like, I cannot do this. Charles tells a story about his, like, asshole stepbrother getting kicked out of FAO Schwartz, which kind of gets them started talking about their childhoods and stuff, and how Eric had gone to FAO Schwartz as a kid, but basically treated it like a museum because he was so poor that, and, like, in such a bad, like, his family, like, both of his parents were really sick and absent. Like, he had to take care of himself. He was like, there was no way I was getting a gift from FAO Schwartz ever. So, like, I had no more intention of bringing something home from that store than I did the T-Rex from the museum. And it sort of highlights the disparity in their experiences. Yeah. That they are coming from very different worlds, which comes back later. It's helpful. It's helpful. As they're walking, they re-approach Charles's building, and he's like, how about you come up? Also, my heat is broken.
Surprise.
Yeah. And Eric is like, that's not good. Like, it's cold out. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it's going to be fine. So they're, like, walking around, and they kind of start talking again, and Eric makes a move.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. He's like, I couldn't sleep last night. All I could think about was you. They're, like, kissing, and it's a thing. Charles kind of is like, wait, we should talk about this. And Eric's like, okay, like, did I do something wrong? And Charles is like, no, but you're straight. Like, you don't want the kind of sex that I want to have because you are a straight man and I am a gay man, and those are two different things. And Eric tries to, like, prove himself a little bit by, like, attempting to give Charles a blowjob very quickly. And it, like, it kind of happens for a minute, and then he, like, gags. And Charles is like, nope, we're done, and pulls him off, and is like, it's fine, you don't have to do this. And Eric is like, what the fuck do you want from me? Because, like, I don't know what to do here. And Charles is like, yeah, you really don't know what you want here, and is, like, actively shoving him away.
Why do we push away the people we love?
Oh, I don't know. Alan, if I had answered that question, I wouldn't be going to therapy.
Same.
Yeah, so Eric starts getting ready to walk out the door, and Charles realizes, like, if he leaves now, he's gone forever. That's it. Yeah. And he's like, don't leave. Charles is like, please stay. And he kind of makes a decision to, like, talk it out. So this is sort of where Charles's internal monologue shifts from trying to be like, nope, into, like, okay, let me put myself in his shoes and figure out what's going on. They end up talking a lot about their dynamic and what's going on. And Charles is like, well, I don't want you to do anything you're not ready for. I don't want you to do anything you don't want to do. And Eric is like, I don't actually know what I want, but I want to be able to figure it out. I think I just rushed it. Like, that's the thing. And I was like, yeah, you did, buddy. Like, this is a very rushed situation. They decide, Charles is like, well, we should talk about this. Also, it's fucking cold. So he goes and gets his blanket off of his bed and, like, tucks them both in on the couch so they can sit and talk. And it's, like, the best thing he's ever done. Because they have to talk to each other, but they're also, like, forced to be very comfortable about it while they do it. Mm-hmm. So it's a very cozy, very safe way of, like, unpacking a lot of their feelings for each other. Charles, like, tells Eric the whole story about why he's so frustrated with straight men and why he's so sick of being an experiment and, like, how people have hurt him in the past. And Eric's like, oh, like, I didn't know that's how that was coming across. Like, I'm really glad you told me because I didn't understand this. Yeah. And Eric is like, well, I don't know exactly what I want and I don't know where this is coming from, but I have been dreaming about you. Vivid dreams. Smutty dreams. And Charles is like, cool, interesting, tell me more.
It was after their first meeting, he admits, like, I met you the first night, and then that night I had a very vivid sex dream about us.
Yeah, this was, like, years ago when he was still married, and he was like, I just kind of shelved it because I was married.
Woke my wife up, we had some sex.
Which you don't need to know about. Yep. And then I was like, all right, cool, that happened, and then didn't worry about it anymore. Charles says, well, what changed recently then? Like,
besides your divorce.
Besides you being divorced. And Eric's like, well, over the summer you were talking about some guy that you were seeing, and for the first time it wasn't, oh, I'm happy for him. It was, oh, I'm jealous. Like, I don't want this to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, it could be me. And that was, like, a pretty significant shift for him. And he had decided then that at New Year's he was going to make a move and see how it went. And I was like, oh my God, these dumb, precious babies. Men. Like, so stupid. Like, I'm sorry, buddy, but so stupid. Not that women aren't much better, but
men are a whole new breed of stupid.
It's a certain level of emotional incompetence that I'm like, wow, this is hard. So they have to, like, process a little bit of their first kiss in that moment where Charles was like, oh, you being bad tonight? And Charles was like, well, you said you were being bad. And Eric was like, I thought that was, like, dirty talk. Like, I didn't get... So they realize that they're on very different wavelengths in terms of what they're communicating to each other, and they have to resolve that in order to move forward. They make sort of a commitment to be, like, I don't want to be another thing that hurts you, in reciprocity to each other. Right. And then it becomes, well, what do you want? Eric is like, well, I don't super know, but I do want to try. And they start making out really aggressively. Yeah.
Like, everything sounds so, like...
They do. They're just, like, really into it. I guess it is pretty soft. And then Charles basically teaches Eric how to give a blowjob. Yup. And they have some sex, which is great. And it escalates quickly, but in a way that is very measured, which is kind of interesting. Like, the way that the, like, smut escalates in this fic, it happens very quickly in the sense that, like, it's only, like, a day. Like, they go from first kiss to full-on fucking in a day. But it also...
We've all been there, am I right, ladies?
No. No. It doesn't feel rushed in the sense that you're like, wait a minute. It's just, it happens really fast in a way that I was like... But it's also at the end of years of pining. Exactly. So there's, like, a base for it. So I was like, okay.
It's just an interesting thing where, like, it's like we come in the middle of the fanfic. Like, someone could have written those years before. Yeah. But we are here, you know? Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's very sort of like the top of the bell curve. Yeah. And we don't really get the full-on, like, pining lead up.
In medias res.
Yep. So then, after they have done the blowjobs and the, like, cuddling or whatever, they wake up after they have just, like, fallen asleep post-sex, and Eric is like, I'm so sorry I fell asleep, and Charles is like, we're dudes, we don't care.
That's a thing.
Yeah, and Eric is like, oh, well, okay. You know, I don't have to work until tomorrow. What if we go down to, like, Duane Reade and pick up some supplies and I just stay here? And Charles is like, it's cold, though. And he was like, Duane Reade sells space heaters. He was like, you right. So they go to Duane Reade and go pick up some supplies, and they're walking. And they end up getting food and bringing it back and setting up a little, like, indoor picnic scenario. And it's very, like...
Right next to also... Charles's apartment is in the Upper East Side. Yeah. Has a gorgeous view. Yeah. Like, it's a high-rise. One of his walls is, like, all glass, essentially. And this extends into his bedroom. So they're on this bedroom floor, like, this picnic set out with pizza and stuff, and, like, overlooking the skyline at night.
Yeah. Again, it's a lot of talking about their feelings. Which is amazing.
Listen. I may be processing some things.
Oh, no. So Eric processes that, like, you know, why his relationship with Magda kind of fell apart. And he was like, you know, I was doing the whole, like, stoicism thing and didn't want to, like, lose the upper hand. And by the time I realized that it was bullshit, I didn't actually have the feelings anymore. Like, I had basically, like, stopped myself from caring for her that way. And it just kind of fell apart. So we're trying to be, like, good to each other, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of a moment of Charles realizing that, like, this is Eric for the very first time, from childhood to now, being able to ask for what he wants and taking a moment to ask for what he wants, which is a huge thing for him. And it's not at all that, like, he is using him in the way that he's so afraid of. It's that, like, Eric doesn't really know how to want a thing, which I think we've talked about before. That is a really hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. It is one thing to talk about feelings and stuff. It is another thing to actively be like, hello, I want a thing.
I would like this, please.
Yeah, and have somebody else be able to say no.
Yeah.
And, like, shoot you down and, like, hurt you.
Yeah.
That's a very vulnerable position to be in. So Charles is like, okay. And he's like, well, I've been trying to protect myself. Eric has been really vulnerable. Like, I can't shoot this down.
Right.
Like, I can't do that.
Can't work that way.
They were equally scared, just in opposite directions. So he, actually, that's the moment where he was like, okay, I'm in this. Great.
Yeah.
Charles talks about how he's normally the opposite of, like, super stoic, and he's normally too demonstrative and too clingy, and people are like, it's like getting hit in the face with a fire hose, and, like, you're just awful. And Eric's like, that's real mean. Who said that to you? And Charles is like, it's not necessarily untrue, but, like, Eric's like, stop it.
He says, you don't have to change yourself for me.
It's so cute. But Charles responds with, no, but I need to change a little for myself. Which, so good. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Charles.
So this transitions into a discussion about the sex that they'd had. And Eric having that moment of, like, but we didn't really have sex. Because it wasn't penetrative, thank you. And Charles being like, that's not actually a thing. Like, it doesn't have to be the measure by which we, like, ascribe value here.
Right.
Like, I am perfectly happy with what we did and think it's great and we can continue to do that stuff. And Eric is like, but I want to do actual full-on, like, anal sex. And Charles is like, we can, but, like, it's gonna be a whole thing. Like, it's more than I think you actually realize it is. And Eric is like, well, I want to try this. Like, I'm insistent. And he's like, okay. Through that, it's like, you know, Eric reveals that he's been watching a lot of gay porn. And he was like, well, I don't actually want to just have sex with men, full stop. I specifically want to have sex with you. And Charles is like, interesting. And Eric does say, I guess I'm bi-curious. And Charles is like, I'm gonna fucking murder you. But he says, God grant me strength in italics, which means it's an internal thing. And then Charles sighed and let it go.
And then asked, are there any other men you've been attracted to? And Eric says, no, maybe Daniel Craig a little, but that's just, and Charles says, being human.
Yeah, correct. So Eric really, really wants to have sex with Charles and is very clear about that. Mm-hmm. And Charles says, okay, basically, we're going to do it. And he's like, it doesn't have to be tonight. And Eric is like, no, it's going to be tonight.
Yeah, he's like, I need to know.
Yeah, like right now. So they do. And Charles, like, fucks him.
Well, that's it. Here's the, like, kind of the big moment is, like, Eric is talking about all of this and, like, being unsure of what he likes and admits, like, he wants to try with Charles and is very attracted to Charles, but he needs to know that sex will be pleasurable to him in any form that they choose to have it.
Yeah.
And so Charles is like, you know, what do you want me to do? Just say whatever you want, I will give you. And Eric says, I want you to fuck me.
Yeah.
And this is Eric saying, like, I need to know that I can get pleasure out of, you know, being fucked with you.
And Charles is like, okay.
Yeah. And they do.
Yep. And they do. And it goes really well.
Yep. For all involved.
For everybody involved. They're having a grand old time. And it's very, like, soft and slow and very, like, fanfic smut.
Very feelings-based.
Very feelingsy. And I was like, oh, Alan was in a place emotionally.
I think I still am.
Yeah.
Like, here at the very bottom, like, after they've had the sex and, like, Charles is asking, you're okay, are you sure? And Eric says, fuck, yeah, that was amazing. I loved it. It's so intense. And Charles tells him, I could fall in love with you. And Eric says, about time you caught up.
Oh.
Which I didn't realize that both my fics at that moment.
Uh-huh.
something to talk to my therapist about.
Yep. Sometimes we read fanfic and then we go, oh, this has highlighted a truth about me.
There are some patterns.
Yeah. So then the next morning, they have a very positive morning after, which is different from the one I sent you. And Eric is like, we cannot stay in this fucking cold apartment anymore. Like, this is actually dangerous. Like, we need to go. And they're like, okay. Charles like, well, I got some stuff to do and blah, blah, blah.
And Eric's going
like,
to work.
Yeah, Eric's going to work. And then he's like, well, if they haven't fixed your heat, like, come stay with me in Brooklyn. And Charles is like, I don't want to crowd you too soon. And Eric's like, no. I'm saying I would like you to come stay with me in Brooklyn, even if your heat does get fixed. And Charles is like, oh my God, this is great. And he's like, I'm so glad I don't have to play it cool right now. I was like, all right, great.
Text me your address. I don't know it. Yeah. And then Eric is like, we're doing this out of order, aren't we?
Yeah. Charles has a moment where he's like, that was meant as a joke, but actually I might not be good at this. And Eric is like, that's fine. We're figuring this out. All relationships are fucking weird. Like, we all strike out until we don't. We all get it wrong until we get it right.
So good.
And Charles is like, okay, I'll see you at like 6:30. Great. And then, so Charles calls Raven and is like, so Eric came over. A lot happened.
Yup.
And like downloads all the things that happened. And Raven is like, well, are you okay? Like, are you sure he's going to treat you right? Like, everything's going on. And Charles is like, yeah, it's been a lot. But, like, to be honest, like, yeah, I think this is going to go well. And Raven's like, yeah, it's really hard to be honest, isn't it? And Charles is like, yeah. And Raven reveals that she had a conversation with her partner, Henry. And how she knew that he was the one for her was that she had a history of having, like, a lot of casual sex. And her number was very high, and she was very ashamed of that. And she finally, like, told him the actual situation that she was in and, like, who she was. And basically, like, offered up herself on a plate. And he was honest and was like, this is intimidating, but it doesn't change how I feel about you. And that was how she knew, like, she was like, you got to find somebody who sees you for who you are and loves you anyway. Maybe loves you for it. And, you know, that and great sex.
Amen.
And Charles was like, check and check. And Raven was like, shut the fuck up. So they have this phone call and thing, and Charles, like, goes about his day, and it sort of leaves, and it's like, but to hell with it. The coffee was great. Because he went and...
There we go. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, which is the reference. He stops and gets coffee, and before he even realizes it, he has broken his other New Year's resolution. And he's like, all right, all of it was broken. It's fine, whatever. So, and that's the end.
Yay!
So it's a very, like, when I talk about the top of the bell curve, you also don't get any more of the relationship out of that. It's a very little, like, blip of time.
It's a moment.
Which is fascinating.
Love it.
I liked this a lot. It reads really fast. Like, this was a fast read, but it's a good read. I think I either wanted more of it or perhaps less. I was like, this amount was kind of frustrating.
Interesting.
To, like, walk away from, because I was like, what do you mean we're not going to see him in Brooklyn? What do you mean he's not going to go? But I also, like, it didn't ruin it. I just was like, this is a very... You wanted more, this is a very interesting slice of this relationship. It's a very interesting worldview where sometimes fanfics just, like, cut off at the end, and you're like, all right, cool.
I guess that was it.
There's not a whole lot of denouement, as long as we're talking about weird literary terms. Yeah. So, yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked the way that they dealt with both of their very real, like, life struggle things. I felt very, like, true and very grounded. I do think they moved really fast, which was a little... It was a little off-putting when I first was reading it, but then I was like, nah, like, I could kind of rationalize it. The jumping right into anal sex was a little much. But, like...
That is...
I was like...
That is men having sex.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
There's a joke in, like, with gay people where you have sex, and then if you exchange numbers after that, like, that's serious.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is a moment where we talk about the difference between queer women and queer men. Yeah. This isn't an exclusively thing too. No. I don't want to be reductive, but the joke about queer women is that you U-Haul and you move in together before you even have, like, before you've even discussed having a crush. Yep. Like, and that, to me, that rings true. I cannot list the number of people I know in my life who have U-Hauled. And, like, so I think maybe in this scenario, that's something that, like, this is coming from a place of really understanding and coming from a queer male culture that doesn't speak to me because I am not a queer male. I am a queer woman and have a different framework for timeline and pace and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of the time when I read fanfic, it is written by women, predominantly queer women, and falls into that framework where it's a lot of emotional buildup before anything physical happens. And this is kind of the opposite of that. Yeah. So that's fascinating.
Yahtzee. Great job.
Well done. Yahtzee. So cool. That said, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like, I had a good time. I would rate it like a 3.9.
Oh, wow, that's high.
Yeah, like it's a good time.
That's a high for Aaron. Let me specify.
I also just ate, so...
You are at your most content.
There's some nice scrambled eggs, giving a couple of extra points here.
Amazing.
But no, it's a good time. I think, I do think that framework of seeing it through a queer male lens is helpful. Because I think it's fascinating that is the difference.
Yeah.
Between,
I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah. All right. What did I send you? Because I kind of forget.
You sent me Schitt's Creek fanfic.
Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yup.
Oops.
It is called Love Makes the Lightest Sound by author 1031. That is the numbers 1031.
Yep. The internet is a magical place.
The summary. David has always hated New Year's Eve.
End summary.
Yep, if you're waiting for more, you'll be waiting a while.
Oh, no. I have a sense that this did not go well.
So the note, in the author's note, the author specifies that this was done for a prompt, how did David and Patrick spend their first New Year's Eve together? I will start off by saying that this is written beautifully. Mm-hmm. It is like poetry. Mm-hmm. It was gorgeous. I was like, oh. Wonderful. Like the way it's written, like the descriptions, the syntax, the rhythm, it was great. Mm-hmm. It put me in the space I think that the author really wanted me to be in. Mm-hmm. And essentially not a lot happens. This is from the point of view of David, and he's in bed with Patrick following the New Year's Eve celebration. They're like literally middle of the night, and him and Patrick are just basking in each other's presence, and like David asks Patrick to tell him a secret, and Patrick says, "Every word I sing is for you," which I didn't get, but still made me cry. And then David asks even the sad ones, and Patrick says, "There are no sad ones, not anymore."
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. My only problem with this Aaron Murphy is I have not seen Schitt's Creek.
Yep.
So 85% of this fic is not did not resonate with me.
Yeah.
I could get a few things, and like there's this really beautiful moment toward the beginning where David is talking about how he's always felt like a firework, and that's why he hated New Year's, which I was like, all right, because he always felt like a firework, in that he would shine very brightly for people, and they would be like ooh and ah, but then the moment that it was over, they would go back to their lives, and they would kind of just ignore him or leave him, which I was like, that's a really interesting feeling and a really beautiful way to encapsulate it. But then they talk about like how they spend New Year's Eve with all these people, and like a bunch of stuff that I was just like, I don't know that I fully understand it. I would have liked this so much if it hadn't been fan fiction. Because this would almost reach stronger to me if it was just a story, like original fiction, if it was just two people, you know, and talking about this. Because it's gorgeous. It is a beautiful read. Also 1,500 words, super quick read. Highly recommend that everyone reads it because it's beautifully written. But I think a lot of the context was lost on me.
Yeah.
And it frustrated me not being able to fully be where I think this would have hit me.
Yeah.
And maybe once I get around to watching Schitt's Creek, I will come back and reread this and like bawl my eyes out, and I'll just call you and sob.
Yeah.
I just was not there.
That's fair.
And I think what's interesting is that both you and I, for Christmas, I think we had a very set, like, bases we needed to hit, like some gift giving and some, like, Christmas decorations and some cold weather, some snow, some snowball fights, some snowmen, all that stuff.
Only one bed.
Only one bed. But for New Year's, I think we kind of went in different directions where, like, mine was, like, yeah, technically at a party, but then it, like, went into a whole bunch of introspective, like, moments and quiet introspection, I think, is what we've both landed on.
Yeah.
Yours didn't really have a party at all. It was remembering a party.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful moment of, like, two people enjoying each other's company and like kind of reminiscing over what the last year has brought, and it's dawning and it's a new year. Ugh, beautiful. Beautiful, and I really appreciated that that's the direction you went with it. I thought that was really, like, sweet, and, like, because I think that's kind of be my new year this year. 2019 was a rough year, y'all.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, rough. And I think that what I want most of all is just to, like, be able to, like, sit with some friends and have a drink and be like, you know, that was hard, but, you know, better things are ahead. Yeah. So I really appreciated this, and I think that it was a really good one to end our first season of the Fic List on. I'm
glad that you feel that way. I definitely agree that I think it would benefit from some context, but I actually don't know if context helps with this as much as you think it does. It's a lot of the sort of introspection is rooted in who they are as people, which makes sense, but there isn't a whole lot of like specificity to be gleaned from it because of context, I don't think.
Well, I think the biggest part is that a lot of the introspection happens with, like, so there's a part here where David's thinking about himself and says he's aware enough to know that he uses it to his advantage to keep others at arm's length and away because sometimes he shines too brightly even for himself. But Patrick revels in it, in the glow of David's presence, of his eccentric passions, his ridiculousness, his neuroses, his love.
And having some context for that would be helpful.
Exactly. Like, what are the neuroses? Like, how did they meet? What? Like, I think it was just small things like that.
Got it. Then I think, that makes sense. Because David is a little neurotic. And, like, that's who he is. Bless his little heart. Gathered. And Patrick just thinks it's delightful. And he's kind of the only person who thinks it's delightful. Or, like, he's one of the few people who's just like, yep, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. Like, here for it. And, like, when they met... David panicked because Patrick was the person who needed him to sign out his, like, incorporation paperwork. And David doesn't know what he's doing. So he calls and leaves 6 rambling voicemails on Patrick's phone being like, hey, David, it's Patrick. Fuck. And it's just like a moron. And it's just so weird. And Patrick gives him so much shit for it. But he goes like, did you leave enough voicemails? Like, and he gives him shit, but he thinks it's, like, you can tell he's just like, I'm so into this fucker. Like, and you can tell right away. He just, like, indulges him and, like, he gets him and it's really sweet. And, yeah, it's just a really good relationship. So I guess you're right. Yeah. I can see that. I hope you get a chance to watch this show because
really want to.
It's really good. I'm excited about it.
I talk like I don't have the option. I don't pay for Netflix.
Yeah, but like also watching a new show is a commitment, and who has the time? Like, really.
That is the sweetest thing you've ever said to me.
Yeah. So, great. I am glad that you liked it. Yeah. What would you rate this fic?
4.
Cool. Yeah. I'll take that.
Gorgeously written.
Yay. That's our holiday spectacular, friends.
Boy, was it spectacular.
It was an event.
It was a long event.
It's okay. We did pretty good. I think we're good. So, we should be up front. This is our last episode for a little while.
Yeah, we need a break.
We're going to take some time.
I know what you're thinking. Some time? You haven't been posting regularly.
but shut up.
In the tried and true tradition of fan fiction writers, we are sporadic in our uploads.
Yep, and that's just how it's going to be, friends, because we have lives and jobs and families and things happen and like,
editing is hard.
Editing is really hard. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. We'll come back in the new year eventually, probably. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, but I have loved every second of doing this stupid little project.
It's so fun.
It is the most fun project I think I've done in years. Aww. It's the most creatively fulfilled I've felt in a long time.
Oh, that's great.
And I love you, friendo.
I love you. I'm in a very emotional place.
Yeah, we both are.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, but this has been great. Please, rate, review, share with a friend, share the magic. Yeah. Also, please, send us more recommendations. Mm-hmm. Send us fandoms to look into, pairings, tags. Because as you can see, we need help.
Yeah. And, as we look at our slate for next season, my hope is that we really expand and have more of interactions with you guys, with our listeners, and are able to build a little bit more community and, really push ourselves to be even more expansive in what we're talking about, because I think that is how we grow this little project of ours. Have some fun. So if anybody knows how to get in contact with Hale Appleman so he can come do an interview on this podcast.
Please, come.
I know. Come here. Please talk to us. I mean, but also, I'll feed you. That's for damn sure. You can come hang out with my cat if that's a selling point. You did think she was cute when I handed you my phone at Comic-Con. But like, you know, if you can think of things that we could be doing that you would like to hear us talk about or see us do, that would be really great. Definitely coming back. This is going to be a continuing project. We just need a little bit of time to like recoup.
We're just gonna, you know, go home. We're gonna eat some food. Gonna spend some time with family.
Yep.
And we'll regroup.
Yep. See you in the next decade, friends.
Oh my God.
See you in 2020.
New decade, new us.
New decade, new episodes. It's gonna be great. Happy holidays. Bye.
Bye.